Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and with me, as always, is my co host, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
It is going well. Of course, we are in the wonderful, fantastic Christmas season, getting to enjoy all that fun stuff. Did Christmas with the kids today. We'll be headed off to the grandparents first thing tomorrow morning. We're doing Christmas again on Christmas Day there. So yeah, it's going well. Unfortunately, I have picked up a bit of a cough, so I might be muted a lot tonight, guys. So we'll
It's
we'll
okay.
just wait and see. But
It'll
I'm
be
glad to be
fine.
I'm glad to be here. Glad to hang out with you, Price. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay, and yeah, I think that this is probably going to be a rather quiet night because I feel like a lot of people are already getting ready for the holiday. I don't
Sure.
know. Even Elizabeth Quince here is saying that she's in Korea. It's already Christmas Eve there, and they
Hmm.
get Santa early. So yeah, it could be a quieter night tonight. I think that people are really in the a holiday spirit. Some people may not even be doing streams, so I don't know. But we still decided to do it. Why not? And it's okay if you have a cough or whatever it is. I'll try to talk more. I have a sore throat. I've had one for recently,
Oh,
maybe also because of the season and different things like that. So between my sore throat and your cough, I'm sure we're going to be perfectly fine.
it's gonna be wonderful.
It's gonna be the best.
Yes, we have been joined by some wonderful people we can see in the chat. Some regulars. It's nice to see him. Darren M, Zunar J5, Caleb Levine,
I
Tex
see Tex
Rogers.
Rogers.
Over on Rumble, I see Citizen 42, Elizabeth Quince, and Darren over there as well. So hey, wonderful to see everybody this evening.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great. And you know what's good? I actually saw a few movies, so that's good.
Yeah, it looks
I,
I you the reviews from you have been coming fast and furious for the last this last week. So yeah, we got
in the last few
few
weeks, I
different
ended up
movies.
going to
Yeah.
like a number of advanced screenings and
Yeah.
watching things, and that's pretty cool. So I don't know if anybody cares, but it's nice that somebody sees movies well in advance and can give an opinion. The funniest thing is that I saw a movie with Sydney Sweeney in it. And, you know, some of these reviews, I come back from the movie theater, or maybe it's already late at night, and I'm just kind of uh, putting together some kind of narration. And, you know, I, sometimes I'm tired, and I don't really have much of a filter and don't really think of much. But apparently, there's one sentence I said in my Sydney Sweeney review for her movie Housemaid that got people really annoyed, or at least a few ladies got annoyed. And it's so funny because I didn't even think of it while talking about it. I said something like that a lot of ladies don't like Sydney Sweeney, especially if they don't look so good. And I don't know why. Some lady wrote a response. Let me see if I can find. I don't know why it
The,
cracked me up.
well, see, the
Uh,
problem is that you would imply that there's any woman who doesn't look so good because of course they are
right,
all
exactly.
goddesses.
The thing is, it was exactly. I think. Uh, Here, let me show you. I gotta show you this. Are you ready, Professor?
Yeah, go right ahead.
So these are comments from my review on Sydney Sweeney's movie. I'm gonna share them. I don't know why this made me laugh. It's so random. It's a holiday stream or the beginning of the holidays, so I feel okay sharing this silly thing. Are you ready, Professor?
Hmm.
So this is what I wrote. This is oh wait, let me do this presentation mode. First of all, because I said that, I guess some lady got upset, so she wrote, "Tell me you're a conservative without telling me you're a conservative." I didn't talk politics at all in that review. I didn't say anything. I just gave my opinion. I guess being just a regular dude giving an opinion makes you a conservative. Uh, even if you don't talk about politics or whatever. And then the lady that answered her, that was really funny. I could tell the minute he said, she's only She's only criticized by women who don't look so great. That is that is such a weird thing to say and a weird way to defend someone. I mean, I just told the truth. There are ladies out there that don't look so good, and they usually don't like Sydney Sweeney because she does look good.
They don't like any women who look good.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
never underestimate the idea that women that don't look good dislike women that look good. I'm not saying that every single woman is like that, but I've met women like that. So to suggest that they don't exist is not true. And I feel like this was I don't know why these ladies are upset at my review, but for some reason I saw this and it cracked me up. Probably shouldn't have, but I thought it was funny.
Yeah. Well, people can get rather defensive,
I
but
guess
you know
so.
what? When you're right, you're right, Bryce.
I'm trying to think now. Did I even I didn't I give like a semi reasonable score to that movie? Like I people are always so weird. I don't know what they want. Like I get the weirdest comments, really. No
Mhm.
matter what I do, I have people that are upset. Anyhow, uh but for some reason that cracked me up. What were our topics? Oh, okay. We can go over the thing quickly. It's a holiday. We don't have to dwell too much on the politics. I saw that today they were saying that Trump was good for the economy, but I didn't know if they were just saying that or if there's something that happened that made him good for the economy. Do you know anything more about it? Because they're like, oh, look, it grew by 4.3%. But I don't really know how these things are measured. How do they come to the conclusion if he's good or not?
Well, it all depends on who's looking, right? Because you get some that'll say, "Oh no, this is wonderful. This has, you know, really helped grow things." And then there's others that'll say, no, that might be growth, but it's not real growth because this and whatever, right? Um, there's a lot of that type of thing where they argue one way or another. Let's see here. I've got a let's see. Pull up a story here. Um, you know, always sucks trying to find a decent a decent story. Let's see. Let's. Oh wait, no, that
Tomahawk 511 says
did
she
not
tells
open.
us she's a lib without telling us
Telling
she's a
us she's
lib.
actually. If you look at her name, it says Lib in her name.
Right, that is true. It said that was her name.
Oh, okay. Let's see. This is
Just quickly, I'll tell you. It reminds me. Sometimes I get comments that somebody writes to me. Goes to like the channel, like to either of my channels, but either or, and they write to me something like, "Well, of course, what could you expect for such a small and insignificant channel?" And then I click on their channel, and they have like 3 subscribers,
yeah, yeah.
and
Oh,
like,
they get that all the time. Yeah, there was somebody. I don't remember. There was some. It was back when we were talking Superman. People were going back and forth on the Superman, whether it was profitable or not. And there was one big thread that happened under. I think it was Variety that I had commented on and just got hundreds of people just it was the best performing movie, arguing with me. I'm like, look, it's no, here's the numbers. It's simple. But going back and forth and then there's one guy that was like, "Oh yeah, the opinion of some loser with only 200 300 followers." And then I go and look at his account. And it's like he has like 8 people following him.
I had once one that like
Like, what the
had
hell?
either 0 or 1 followers, and like he was talking all this kind of crap to me, and then at the end I just answered him. I said like he wrote something like what you were saying, and I just wrote to him, "Yeah, okay, well I'm sure your 1 follower is really excited about that about that tweet of yours."
Yes,
Tex
absolutely.
Rogers says that he can see that the gasoline prices have been falling since Mr. Trump took office.
Absolutely, they have. Yeah, been pulling back on regulation, pulling back on various other issues that prevent them from being able to access and bring up the oil. And so yeah, that's one thing. Uh, that's one thing that's definitely going to help. So anyway, I do have a story here from USA Today. U.S. economy expanded at a strong clip in the third quarter, just before the federal government shutdown likely derailed growth and hiring. So they're immediately trying to say, "Oh, it grew." But no, it didn't. Because there was the shutdown. Except that the shutdown didn't really, I mean, affect the public sector all that much because it was just a government shutdown. But we'll see. Eventually, the reporting will be out there. But yeah, uh, gross domestic product increased at a 4.3% annualized rate last quarter. The reading is the first estimate of third quarter GPT and was delayed by the shutdown. GDP estimates are revised as additional data becomes available. So yeah, this is the first, most initial, thing that they're saying. But yes, these are always revised as further data comes in, because when they do these numbers, not the reporting from every sector is not always there. Reporting from every company is not always there. There's other new, other confounding things that come in afterwards. But this is good news up front, right? And hopefully, this does continue through through the rest of the year. Uh, and hopefully this kind of good news actually does reach some people, right? They're actually, because there's a lot of people out there who are very doom and gloom, right? They're thinking that we're in a terrible spot because for some reason they're a barista, but they don't make enough money to own a 4-bedroom house. I'm not really sure why they ever thought that was possible as a barista, but apparently some people do. And anyway, there's been a lot of doom and gloom about the economy and about jobs and stuff like that recently. So yeah, hopefully that some of this good news is going to be making it through some people's filters here. But
By
yes,
the
it
way, we
says,
have a super chat, and I just
yeah.
want to address it
Oh,
for
go
a
for it.
second. And we'll then go back to your article just quickly because it was about the previous thing. The Dead Man for 199 says, "Wait, women are jealous of each other? No way." Yeah, exactly. Like, did you see how like how annoyed those two ladies were that commented? I don't know why it made me laugh. It probably shouldn't have made me laugh, but I saw it. I'm sure they didn't intend for it to make me laugh, but that's what happened. But yeah, let's look at whatever you were doing.
Yeah. So they were saying basically that this is reflecting. Oh, I lost my tab. Where'd it go? There we go. Reflected increases in consumer spending, exports, and government spending that were partly offset by a decrease in investment. So the really important stuff here is obviously the consumer spending. Government spending, yes, that does make it is important, but the consumer spending and exports are also really good signs. Obviously, we want people to be confident about the economy and being willing to go out and spend their money. So that's really good. Comments though, Q3's strength is unlikely to be sustained. Okay. This is an economist though. You never know with economists which side they sit on. There's plenty of economists out there who are fairly conservative in the way that they look at things. There's quite a few of them that are basically Marxists. And they only want to see the economy doing well when it has to do with the public sector spending all the money. So even if revisions show GDP grew by a bit less in 2025 than the latest number suggests, growth genuinely seems to have been supported by continued resilience among consumers and the boom in AI. Yes, that is true. We see clear signs, however, that the tide has turned in Q4, especially in consumption. I don't know about that, but yeah, I guess, again, we'll have to wait and see. If that's the case, it was probably driven by some people who were not too sure about the economy, thanks to what was happening with the government. that does typically affect consumers, consumer confidence. Doesn't affect businesses so much, but it does affect consumers because well, they're manipulated by you know, by the media telling them that it's all doom and gloom because the government has been shut down. So there's definitely some that are affected directly, but that's a relatively small portion of the economy.
I see. All right. Well, I mean, sounds relatively positive on the surface. Certainly better than the kind of things that we were told earlier than this year, the year earlier when everybody was saying that it's all going to be terrible and everything. So, yeah.
Mm.
In any case,
Yep.
uh, well, that
So
was
yeah,
the
I mean, yeah, I think I'll be honest. I think that the moves that Trump has been making have been relatively good for the economy. There are questions still about how some of the issues with tariffs are going to, balance out. Tariffs can be good. Tariffs can be bad. It depends on how they're applied. It depends on where they're applied. It depends on if there is some offsetting, balances on on the other side so that it doesn't cost it doesn't drive up consumer prices, although it doesn't affect consumer prices directly as some other things can, right? Because even though yes, you are putting those tariffs onto products that are being imported, those products that are being imported that have the tariffs on them, they can't just raise their prices the exact same amount as the tariffs. We've talked about this before. If they do that, then they're going to be uncompetitive. It's not going to work. And so they have to absorb some of that. So yes, it might drive a little bit of an increase, but if we can find other ways to offset that, continuing to combat inflation and so on, then things work out better. So I don't know.
yeah. Well, we'll see how it plays out. I mean, like I said, sounds good. Hopefully, it'll continue that way. What I wanted to ask you about is, we already knew what this whole Steve Rogers trailer is because it leaked. I don't know if it
Mm-hmm.
leaked on purpose or it didn't leak on purpose. I, at this point, don't really know because it's kind of strange that somebody leaked it so close to when it was supposed to be released. But what do I know? In any case, like the trailer itself is not really, it's not that a lot goes on in that trailer. I'm sure you've seen it already a number of times, correct?
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
But we'll share it because it's so brief. We can just look at it for a second. And what's interesting is also the numbers of people liking and not liking it. So let's look at that for a second. Now, of course, this whole trailer, in my opinion at least, is like admitting defeat. Uh, you know, they tried earlier this year, just this year, they had Captain Falcon America. They invested about $500 million in that movie. $500 million, Professor, was invested in Captain Falcon: Brave New World, and that movie was a complete disaster. Lost hundreds of millions of dollars. And what do? They go back to Chris Evans, go back, sign him up and bring him back. So basically, they're admitting failure, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no other way to
To
look
some,
at it. I mean,
yeah. I mean, to some extent, yeah. They are admitting failure. These,
you know,
yeah.
they're,
They're,
they're
yeah. Go ahead.
no, I'm saying they're very much trying to bring, viewers back. And how do they bring them back? They knew that if they're going to do an Avengers movie with like Captain Marvel and Captain Falcon and I don't know what, female Black Panther, and I don't know what other surprises they had in mind, they suddenly said, "Okay, let's just bring back." First, they brought Robert Downey Jr. Then they're bringing back Chris Evans, and I don't know. I mean, personally, I don't really know how this whole thing with Robert Downey Jr. is gonna work out because it's not the same character, so
Nope,
I don't unless, like,
it's
there's
not.
also gonna be an appearance of Iron Man, and that'll be, like, the thing where in one of those universes, I don't know what, there's, like, an Iron Man. I don't
Oh yeah,
really know.
they say he's coming back as Doom. He will eventually be back as Iron Man. This again, they are in the multiverse now, which good gravy. You know what happened. I mean, you know that they can do basically anything they want. They can,
They could, but the
yeah.
question is, like, Tony Stark as we know him, he is dead, so I don't know how they can make it that he won't be dead. And do they really want
Well,
that? I mean, now they've wasted like 5 to 6 years with, like, these actors getting older instead of if they just wanted them to stay,
yeah.
they shouldn't have gotten rid of them and they should have made more movies with them. But let's look for a second. Let's look at this trailer. It almost looks like something that AI could have done. I'm not saying that AI did
Oh
it,
yeah.
I'm just saying it's so simple and stupid that AI could have done it. It's pretty much a nothing burger, this whole trailer. Some people were saying that they thought he was de-aged and had a hairpiece. Hard for me to tell from that angle. Yeah, I guess, it's a teaser, I guess. It does whatever it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what it made me feel? I'm trying to think how to put it. When I was watching Mandalorian and Luke Skywalker came out and did something cool, I didn't hate it, but there was also a part of me that felt like, you already screwed us, you know what I mean? It wasn't the same thing as going to see the sequel trilogy and see Luke Skywalker be awesome. It was something that, like, you know, like when you're a kid and somebody says, "Oh, like, maybe somebody parent or something did something, bad or I don't know what," and they buy you like an ice cream. They were like they forgot to pick you up from practice or whatever, and here's an ice cream cone. You know what I mean? That's what I felt like with Luke Skywalker showing up in The Mandalorian as a digital whatever that was, and I feel like the same way here. It's like, oh, like you don't like the MCU. We did all this crappy shit. Sorry, Sean, but here's Chris Evans as Steve Rogers. What do you think about that? It's like, yeah, it's okay, I guess.
He's Steve Rogers, though. They do not call him Captain America.
They're probably being very careful now because, I mean, what are they gonna
Well,
fucking do?
there's two things. One, there are people who are very upset that, oh, they might bring back a white boy to replace the black man that they have as Captain America now. Like, they never even gave him a chance. They never even, yeah, well, he did get a chance, actually. He had an entire TV show and a movie, one of the most expensive movies ever filmed in the MCU. And the show and the movie were both terrible
Dude, not
because
only in the
all,
MCU,
yeah,
it was one of the most expensive movies ever made, period. They
they
put
were, yeah,
500,000,000. They had put 500,000,000. If you 500,000,000 is more than what they put into Avatar, okay, into the last Avatar thing. As much as we laugh at James Cameron and those shitty, annoying, like, blue creatures or whatever it is, even James Cameron didn't spend $500,000,000 on making that movie. Like,
no. Yeah.
500 million on Captain Falcon America. That is like, you know how sometimes after like the JFK assassination, they did like the Warren Commission.
Mhm.
After it turned out that they spent $500 million on Captain Falcon America, they needed to put together a commission to figure out what happened. You know what I mean? I think like there needed to be a commission, like like a special commission is that what it's called? A Warren Committee Commission?
Yeah,
What?
The Warren Commission, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So they need to put together a commission to find out what happened to the $500 million in Captain Falcon. Also, what happened to the 500 million in the Marvels, and what happened to the 500 million in Indiana Jones and the Dial
Indiana
of Destiny.
Jones, that's the one that you
That's the
really
one.
wanna know
I,
about.
I need
Like,
to.
what happened? How did that happen, and how much was actually lost? Because that one, I mean, we know what happened with Captain America, right? We know what happened with Brave New World. They tried to shoot a movie with no script, and then they had to shoot the movie 2 and 3 times over trying to patchwork it together out of this mess of stuff that they were trying to make. And then we also know what happened, and that is that instead of trying to tell a really good story about Captain America, just like with the TV show, they had to insert all kinds of identity politics into the story. You couldn't just have him be a hero. He's got to be a black hero, and they got to come in and they got to talk about this. Oh, why isn't he judged on this? Why can't he be as good as the real the original
No, but
Captain
you know
America?
what
Blah
they
blah.
did
Blah.
though.
Yeah.
You know what I think they did. Uh, I feel like after Trump got elected, call me crazy, I could be wrong about all of this. There was a last minute round of reshoots after Trump got elected, I think. I could be
Oh,
wrong.
no, I absolutely think there were. Yeah.
And
I think they cut a bunch of stuff too.
they cut a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff. They tried to do something to minimize whatever because they probably thought that like Kamala would win, and they were like, celebrating with whatever propaganda they shoved in there. There was also a situation that there were scenes with a white guy, and they replaced the white guy with Giancarlo Esposito. Now, I suspect, and you could call me a cynical and douchey guy. I suspect, first of all, maybe he was a better actor than whoever they had there, but I suspect a more kind of middle America white guy being a bad guy. Maybe they decided that they'll bring this guy instead, and it'll seem less like propaganda ish.
Mhm.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Because if I'm not mistaken, there was a white guy that was supposed to play that role. They filmed with him. Suddenly, they bring in Giancarlo Esposito. He's playing that role now, and the
Yeah.
reshoots look so awkward.
There was
I've
he was
never.
was it like an ex-wrestler or something like that
It was like an
they had? Yeah.
ex-wrestler. Was a very, very white man, and somehow they replaced him with Giancarlo Esposito very late in the game, and I have to wonder why. I mean, if I wasn't a cynical man, it would just, oh well, something happened and they didn't like his performance. But interesting because they could have brought a different white guy if it was so important to them. And we know how much they care about people's skin colors, if you understand what I'm saying. Meaning
Mhm.
that there would be a white guy and they would replace him with that. The only thing I could think of is maybe, you know, it seemed like now it's not like a white guy that's against the black Captain America. Now it's like a black guy that's sort of against the black Captain America.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah. And his role was, well,
Embarrassing.
it was pathetic. Giancarlo Esposito is a solid actor. Uh,
Very solid.
on occasion, he feels a little one note, but I like him. I do. He got a great voice. He's got a good delivery. He's got an incredible presence on screen, no
The,
doubt.
the,
So I do like him. He was utterly wasted in that film. He
it,
had what, like 2 scenes, and then in one of them, like he's just like spilling his guts to Captain America about, about
no,
what
and,
their
and
plans are for no reason.
they were inserted into the movie in the most awkward way. You could tell that they weren't part of the movie. You could tell that they were reshoots, and there was no other character or actor around him except for Captain Falcon, who shows up like You could tell that when they filmed with Giancarlo Esposito for a few days last minute, there was a green screen. Maybe Anthony Mackie was there with him, maybe not. And that was it. They filmed like a few things. They pasted him in to that movie in the most awkward and ridiculous way. And it's so pasted that you could tell that it was last minute. And, he's a good actor. When you're talking about one note, listen, I don't blame the guy. The guy was around for many years. I've seen him do different things over the years. He's a good character actor. But once Vince Gilligan put him as Gustavo Fring in Breaking Bad, from that moment, everybody that hired him wanted him to be Gustavo Fring from
Just wanted
Breaking
him to
Bad.
be Gus Fring. Yes.
Yeah, and
From
a-
then
and you
on.
know what? How old is he? He's not a spring chicken. Let me see how old.
No, no.
Let me see for a second. Uh, oh, Giancarlo Esposito. Let me see his age. He's 67. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you're 67, you're not messing around anymore. This isn't when you're 20 and are like, no, I want people to not typecast me. I want to be known as the guy that can do this or that. It's not like a Christian Bale situation where they told him, hey, we'll give you $50 million if you do another Batman movie. And he said, no, if I do this other Batman movie now, I'll never be able to work again. I have money. Like, it's fine. I'm not going to do it. And then he went and he had all these other roles. But keep in mind, he was, maybe 40 or something at that moment. Whereas when you're 67, there's no more to explore a million roles. If somebody's like, here's a check for millions of dollars, can you come on this last minute and just do your Gustavo Fring thing? He took that check and ran to the bank. There's never been somebody
Mm, yeah.
ran faster to the bank to deposit his check than Giancarlo Esposito for Captain Falcon Brave New World. And I bet that he sat later with his friends and said, you wouldn't believe it. They called me to some movie last minute. And I bet you he told them, I don't even know what this movie is about. I don't know if they know what this movie is about. I got a few pages that had lines in it. They told me just to do like Gustavo Fring. I did that and I left. And then I took the check and I ran. That's probably like when he's like with his poker buddies, that's probably the story that he's telling them. He won't admit that like outside of his like close friends, but that's probably what he was thinking himself. Or maybe he never told anybody, but believe me, that's what he was thinking.
He showed up on the set for Mandalorian and they were like, "We need you to be Darth Fring." And he said, "Yeah,
Yep.
you
No
got it.
problem. Got it. Got it.
You got it.
You know,
Whatever you say, Chief. I'm here. Just keep
it,
writing those checks."
it's tough. It's tough because if you think about it, a lot of these actors before like Vince Gilligan made them, showcased. I don't think that Vince Gilligan taught them how to act or how to be good actors. I think that Vince Gilligan just has an eye for talent that's not like the most conventional, and he really has this kind of vision for his characters that works differently than most other showrunners or directors or writers or whatever you want to call it, or all he does all of that stuff. So there's a show called and I've talked about it before, it's called The Ghost Whisperer. Now if you look at The Ghost Whisperer throughout its run, you have like a guest starring once as a guest star you have Mike from Breaking Bad. Once as a guest star you have Giancarlo Esposito. Once as a guest star you have like Jesse. And this was their life prior to Breaking Bad. They would go around hoping that some show would call him in as like a guest star. You know what I mean? Same with the guy that played Hank. Hank was like always has like, even in movies, even like big movies, Hank, like this, you just need a guy who's not like in the front and center, some kind of bureaucratic or officer or something, sort of like, as a very secondary, third-ary character. You'd see him in stuff like that. And that was their careers. And Vince Gilligan looked at them and said, wait a minute, like we could do something more interesting with these guys. And yeah, so and a lot of these guys were not 20. You know what I'm saying? Like that guy that plays Mike, that's like the best thing that ever happened to him. Like then a few movies or whatever, whoever offered him money, he was there playing the same grumpy character. What does he care? Like, I guess what I'm saying, I think you reach an age and you're just like, ah, fuck it. That's what people want, and that's what I'll do. Like, they want to pay me millions of dollars to be Gustavo Fring again, done. Or that other guy's like, they want to pay me money to be, Mike, I'll do it. So yeah, that stuff kind of happens. And somebody said Baking Bad. Did I say Baking Bad?
We really wandered off into talking about the this movie, but yeah, no, it's so it's pathetic, right? That so all of these people who are arguing, oh, you're bringing him back, he's taking the role back away from whatever, because you didn't want a black man to be Captain America. No, that was never it. I like Anthony Mackie. I thought he was great as Falcon. I honestly think he's a solid actor. He's pretty good. I've seen him in a couple of other things. I like him. I he's just objectively the movies and the television show have been awful, and that's Disney's fault. They're the ones that screwed him. They're
I mean, what what
first
I
of all,
think
first
what
of
I
all, he
think
should never have been Captain America. It
I
should have been
agree.
Bucky. It should have been Bucky. That's the end of his arc. That he comes back. He was his friend growing up. He was taken away from the country that he loved and was fighting to protect. He was forced to fight for the enemy. He is redeemed. He comes back. He gets to become Captain America. I know what they wanted to do. It's the same thing they did with the whole rest of the MCU after they wrapped with Endgame. They shifted everything over to non-stop identity politics BS with different people of color and women and all these roles and mantles instead of the actual characters playing these roles, and it's been a disaster, all of it. It's all been a huge mess, and he is just one of the people that have been screwed by Marvel and by Kevin Feige and everyone else in his brain trust.
The thing is that hey, how's it going? The real head case. Oh, we did the super chat. Sorry. Let me see if we have any other ones. No, there isn't. Okay. So what I wanted to say is they could have done something where just Steve Rogers goes off, does whatever he does, and he has a conversation with with Falcon and says, "I'm leaving you in charge." Doesn't have to be as Captain America. You could just say, "Listen, this team is going to need somebody to really show them the way, blah 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 blah. I'll see you later." And then he goes. Again, it could have also been Bucky as Captain America, but let's say for some reason they didn't want to do that and they wanted to keep it something like that, or at least for now, and just leave all the options open, or whatever you want to call it. Then you do something like a show or a movie. You don't even need that stupid show. The show was awful. You do a movie where basically there's some kind of crisis and somebody needs to round up the troops and do something, and Falcon as Falcon wants to step up and do something because there's nobody around, and he wants to, like, follow in the footsteps of Steve or whatever you want to call it. And maybe you surround him in this movie with a few other characters that, like, people actually give a shit about, like Bucky or whatever it is. And instead of making it all about like race and skin color and all this weird shit, you just do something like that. And none of even if both of them are not Captain America and they just have to go and like round up some people and go take care of the threat, I think people would have enjoyed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like imagine, okay, a few things needed to happen. No show, no Captain Falcon show. Forget about that. That was shitty. Forget about that show. Never delete that from existence. Then delete like all the MCU and all that other crap. You wait a few years after Endgame. You do a movie. I don't care what you call it. You can call it, even if you wanted to call it the New Avengers, that one. You know what I mean? And that way you're sort of separating them from what happened before. You gave the franchise some time to breathe. You bring back like like Anthony Mackie, who is there. Bucky is there. You bring back a few people that people actually like, but you don't try to redefine their role. You just try to create a threat and see how they take care of it, in the absence of all these other guys. And maybe with some smart work and like careful planning and some good writing, and instead of 7 movies for a gazillion dollars that all didn't have a screenplay, you just do one decent one with some kind of screenplay without annoying your audiences every second. Maybe they could have gotten away with it. You know what I mean? Maybe it could have been at least okay, and it would have still left the door open if one of those other ones wants to come back, like a Chris Evans later.
Sure.
So they could have left like everything, all the doors open, kept their options open, done something a little more subtle, a little more clever, and not just annoying like viewers. And instead, they decided to just do all their woke propaganda shitty thing, and it ended up backfiring. I mean, how stupid do these people have to be that they've spent billions of dollars on crap when you and I have been sitting here for years saying every step of the way, this is wrong, this is going to lose money, this is stupid. I mean,
They they have they've sold their soul to this stuff, man. They have said, you know, this is where we're going to go, and we're going to force this messaging whatever happens, because this is what's going to make them popular with their friends and with other people in their circles. It was never about trying to make good entertainment. It was exactly the opposite of that. It was about them pushing a message that they were told to push, that they thought they had to push because everyone around them was pushing that message. And now the shoe's on the other foot, and people are fleeing that stuff
right.
in Hollywood. The studios are fleeing that stuff. So yeah.
Well, I mean, sort of fleeing because we still get shitty little thing. It's
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
now maybe they're not as blunt. They do it like kind of they try to do it more cleverly. But the thing is that at this point, none of that works on me. Like the second that there's even a hint of that shit, I already spot it from miles away. By the
Oh, no
way,
question. Yeah.
Arturo Alejandro Trevino says, "Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to Mr. Price. Thank you."
Yes, and
Gracias, señor.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New
Feliz
Year.
Navidad, señor.
Yes, Feliz Navidad.
Yeah.
Well, so what I guess what I was gonna say, the one other thing I was gonna say is it does say to us in this teaser that we are getting Steve Rogers returning. What are the chances, Price? What are the chances that he's not coming back as Captain America?
I mean, maybe they could bring him back as some kind of like Captain Hydra or something like that.
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
hope they don't go there. I really hope they don't. It'll
Oh,
real
I'm giving I right now I'm 50-50 on this. I think there's a pretty good chance. It's quite possible he'll be both, obviously, because of all the multiverse BS that we know is going to be a huge part of these next two films. That at some point he will show up as Captain Hydra, but I think eventually he will return as Captain America. But yeah, you know there'll be some. It's funny, we said something about this, I think, on Brown's stream on Sunday, where we were saying, there'll be a bit where he will see uh Anthony Mackie's Falcon, Captain Falcon, whatever, and he'll try to give him back the shield, and he'll be like, no, this shield is yours, and that belongs to you, not me. I gave it to you for a reason, and whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know what you mean. They're gonna try to kind of weasel their way out of it with some kind of politically correct whatever. By the way, I wanted to say Feliz Navidad, Prospero Año y Felicidad. I hope I said that correctly. I did the best I could, Professor.
yes, better than I.
Oh,
Better than
Arturo Alejandro Trevino said, "Please, I apologize for not mentioning Professor. It's okay. I think
no, no problem, no
it's fine.
problem.
It's fine. How's it
No.
going, World of Swap Shop Swappers?"
Oh, hey there, swappers. Yeah.
Uh,
Let's see. Oh, yeah. Nice.
Angelo DD says, "Wait, Steve Rogers is coming back. Is it Chris Evans? I missed part of the show. I was late here. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, he's coming back.
Yeah.
Now, what I wanted to show you is look at this trailer. It has 631,000 likes, and it's been 15 hours, and it has 23,000 dislikes, which it's a good ratio. I mean, it's a good. It's not like a ratio. I mean, it's a good. It's relatively fine. It's not 10% of the people disliked it. It's like 3% of the people, 3.3% of the people disliked it. Professor,
Yeah. Yeah. I
so
would have to do. I'd have to do the math.
Some plus minus.
Yeah.
Let's just humor ourselves. At 3.3%. I'm sure there's a more accurate number than what I just said. Now, that Steve Rogers clip has people up in arms online saying it destroys the end of Endgame, but we don't know if this is just a flashback sequence set in the 40s. It doesn't matter because they're absolutely going to destroy the end of Endgame. I mean, they're I don't know how they're going to bring him back and pretend that like it's not them bringing him back. I think they're absolutely undoing the events of Avengers Endgame in some way, shape, or form. Even him just appearing on screen undoes what they theoretically were trying to do there, in my opinion. But what I want to show you is comparison. So 3% plus 15 hours, 631,000 likes. Now let's look at the Supergirl trailer. I want to see it as a comparison. Let's see if I can share this one instead. Remember this trailer
Oh, yes.
with the dog peeing on Superman? So this one has been here for 12 days already. Okay, let's see how many views. Uh, okay, so the Avengers trailer had 7 million views in 15 hours. This one has 22 million. So in 12 days, it got, three times what that is. And that's fine. But keep in mind, with 7 million, this thing has the Steve Rogers one has 631,000 likes and 23,000 dislikes. Whereas the Supergirl trailer has 379,000 likes and 46,000 dislikes. So over 10% of the people that watched the trailer did a thumbs down, but keep in mind that 22 million people watched it and only 379,000 did a like, so that's also very telling. Meaning
Yeah.
you may like what Kevin Feige is trying to pull out of his ass there or not, but it seems like people are responding more positively to the Steve Rogers one, whereas the Supergirl one, I don't think that it got that kind of response. Like more people watched it, yet they didn't want to do a like on it. So it has to say something. Do you get what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
Meaning, if it's 22 million and this was the same as the other one, this one already should have had like 2.1 million likes. Wait,
You
2.9? No, sorry. 1 million because times three. Sorry.
yeah.
Wait. No, no. Okay. Uh, I'm confusing myself. Yes, I think that if on 7 million they had 600,000 likes, and let's say here there's 22 million, then there should have been like 1.8 million, but instead there's 3. Am I getting this right, Professor?
Oh,
You're
hold
the
on.
numbers guy. I trust you.
Oh, yeah, I'm not, don't have the
It's a late
let's
hour.
see.
In any case, what I'm trying to say is that the bottom line is the enthusiasm for Supergirl is much less than for that Avengers thing, and 10% of the people that voted at all, over 10% did a dislike, but so many more people voted on the other one to like it, and it got less dislikes. So I guess what I'm saying is that I think that the other one probably is sitting better with fans and with viewers. Now you and I, we've already been to this rodeo several times, and we don't trust anybody, and we don't trust this trailer. But there are a lot of normies out there, and I think when it comes to capturing the hearts and minds of normies, that trailer is doing the job that it needed to. The thing of like taking the kid out to the ice cream is totally working, at least on the surface. Now, how are those movies going to be? Are they going to suck? Are they going to be on any good? We don't know. But the ice cream to the kid that you didn't pick up from practice, and we're the ones getting the ice cream. That's working for Kevin Feige and James Gunn. In my opinion, this Supergirl thing, I don't know. I don't know how this thing is going to make more than Superman. I think it's going to make, I dare say, less. Sometimes miracles happen. People, there's such good word of mouth. Everybody loves it. It's the best movie that ever happened. I don't see it, but there's nothing in the trailer that suggested it. But I can never say 100%. There have been surprises in the past. Sometimes you never know. There could be something, the Minecraft movie looked stupid to me, but made like a billion or close to $1 billion. So
Oh, it was stupid. I still don't know how that movie made the money that it did. It became sort of this self-perpetuating meme, which is what ended up like really driving people to the theaters. Because I mean, m- the kids in my family love Minecraft. They watched the movie and they hated it. They thought it was extremely stupid. They There was nothing about it that drew them into wanting to watch it, uh, even more than the one time they sat through it and both said that was dumb and I don't want to watch it anymore. So, yeah,
yeah, I
I don't
understand.
know.
Well, I still think that this Supergirl thing, unless there's really a miracle, miracles can happen. But right
They
now,
can.
the sentiment doesn't feel strong towards this Supergirl movie. I'm not just saying that. People are always like, "Oh, you're just a Snyder, you don't think James Gunn and this and that." I've always said the same things over and over again. I will criticize Snyder for the things that I don't like about his movies, and at the same time, I will also say that there were things that James Gunn did with the Guardians of the Galaxy, with like especially the first one. I didn't dislike that. Even the Suicide Squad, I was okay with. I didn't think it was fantastic, but I thought it was okay. I think he was all wrong for Superman. He seems, based on this thing, all wrong for Supergirl, even though he's a producer, writer, or whatever he is here. In any case, or a producer, but it's very much in his style. You could tell that he's the captain of this ship. And in general, I don't think he's the right captain for the DC ship. You know, you can argue if you think that Zack Snyder is or isn't right for it, but I don't think that James Gunn is right for it. And it's something that I think that I've said it before that I thought that if he got a screenplay that he didn't write, and there was a producer that just kept him from going off the rails with all this weird, overindulgent stuff, maybe you could get a good, decent movie out of him. And I still think that. But in something that Critical Drinker said recently, which I kind of agree with, is that whether you like Snyder or not, at least there was this minimal feeling that he was very excited about these characters and he had this kind of passion for these superheroes. Now, he did things that I don't agree with, and there's certainly criticism that you can level at him, but I think that there was at least something sincere in the sense that he was super excited to be making the movies and super excited about the characters, for good and for bad. With James Gunn, it feels like he detests these characters or he has contempt for them or he's cynical about them. It's not like he doesn't like all of this like truth and justice in American way. He doesn't like all this like wholesome, hero or whatever. He just likes all these kind of quirky weirdos. And that makes him arguably the worst choice for these characters. Like if you don't have the minimum respect for Superman, and that's really what I felt when I watched the movie. He has no respect for the character. It's like it was a Superman movie that almost he felt like he begrudgingly made. It was competently made, but it was a begrudgingly made Superman movie. That's how I felt when I watched it. And I feel like this movie again, this Supergirl thing, is another begrudgingly making Supergirl. Like if you don't like these characters, then just sorry, Sean. In advance, I'm saying if you don't like these characters, then fuck off. Like nobody's forcing you to do this. Like you don't have to be an asshole. You can go be an asshole somewhere else. You know what I'm saying, Professor?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Mm.
Oh, it's the Phobos. Nice to see you.
Yep.
Uh, Dude Bro Seth thinks that Gunn is fond of dudes. I think you may be right. I don't know. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but uh, judging by the second season of Peacemaker, I'd say all bets are off. Truth, justice, and the American way. You know what's strange? I shared this video with Jimmy Kimmel that he was crying and saying what a tough year he had. And then at the end of it, he talks about Superman and the American way. And I couldn't help but think to myself, if he wasn't, I thought to myself, this is such a weird thing for you to think. Theoretically, there would be no connection between him and James Gunn. He's not running interference from James Gunn. It's just so strange that he himself also had something to say about truth, justice, and the American way. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm. No.
You don't know what I'm saying? Watch this thing now where Jimmy Kimmel. I posted this. By the way, this is the strangest thing. I posted this thing of Jimmy Kimmel, and a newspaper in France quoted this tweet. I don't know why. I just happened to run into it. It's a long story, but uh, apparently a newspaper in France included this tweet in their article. Don't know why. In any case, I'm going to share now. Are you ready?
Sure.
So this is Jimmy Kimmel. Are you ready?
Yep. Oh, we're not getting audio. No, not getting audio. I have to reshare.
Oh, you're not getting audio?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on one
I'll
second.
share the tab again.
Only the best technology right
Of
here on the Night
course.
Owl.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, are you guys ready? This is Jimmy Kimmel. I posted this video and initially talks about like, his you'll see what he talks about, but towards the end of the video he starts talking about Superman. I just thought it was interesting, and the more I think about this, the more I think it's interesting. You can weigh in on this in a second. Tell me if you can hear it.
Watching. Thank you for joining us here at our home.
Could you hear it?
Yes.
You could hear it?
Yep.
In beautiful Hollywood, California, for what is our final show of the year. And this has been a strange year. It's been a hard year. We've had some lows, we've had some highs for me, maybe more than any year of my life. On behalf of all of us,
Start
I'm crying
weeping.
already, I'm sorry. On behalf of all of us at the show, I just want to say that we appreciate your support, your enthusiasm, and not just for watching. This year, you literally pulled us out of a hole, and we cannot thank you enough personally, professionally. This is not an...
I mean, imagine a guy that gets $16 million a year, doesn't bring any viewers, is not doing well in his slot, and basically he probably would not even gotten a renewed contract, but because of all the controversy, managed to get like one more year of $16 million, and he's standing around weeping about what a difficult year he had. I mean, this guy, to say that he's out of touch would be, an understatement. And the situation that almost got him fired is that there was like, that whole situation with Charlie Kirk, which he was basically gaslighting people about and misrepresenting facts. So all things considered, that he would stand here and like, this kind of weeping, whatever, it kind of annoys me, Professor. I'm not going to lie to you. But this is the part where he talks about Superman. Are you ready?
Sure.
Not an easy. I know there are a lot harder jobs, but this is not an easy job to do. And sometimes it feels like we're spinning our wheels. You see so many awful and destructive acts, all this damage we inflict on ourselves on purpose. And it can make you feel crazy trying to wrap your head around these things that are so clearly wrong. You grow up reading Superman and you learn to value truth, justice, and the American way. And then you start to realize, especially over the last year, you don't know where that all went. You don't know what the American way even is anymore.
So I guess what I'm saying is that James Gunn, he doesn't put that in his movie. He doesn't say then whatever, and he says, "Oh, truth, justice, whatever." And in the movie, he doesn't say the American way. But notice how in these kind of circles in Hollywood, he's Jimmy Kimmel accidentally maybe showed a hand, like when you show your hand in poker, because he said something here that I bet you this is what they sit around and talk about amongst themselves. That truth, justice, and the American way. What is the American way? And that's probably why later James Gunn doesn't include that in the movie. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I'm not
Absolutely.
saying that
Yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel caused him not to do it. I'm just saying that I think Jimmy Kimmel, whether he meant to or not, exposed what Hollywood thinks when they think of Superman and the American way. He explained it right here. What even is the American way? And that's exactly the stupid crap that James Gunn thinks. That's exactly what all these like people that make $16 million a year and sit around like drinking wine and sniffing farts and whatever. This is what they believe in. So we shouldn't be surprised that later Superman doesn't believe in the American way, because this is the kind of people we're dealing with,
Oh,
in my humble opinion.
yeah, no. He believes in the human way.
Exactly. So
whatever that means.
yeah, I actually think that what'd you say? You turned off Kimmel audio on my end?
Yeah.
That's fair
Ista
enough.
was also sharing an article. Just go back just a bit to what we were saying. He was sharing an article where Chris Claremont was at a conference, but basically it just confirmed what we were already saying, that that yes, he's coming back as Steve Rogers. That's probably going to be a bunch of different versions of Steve Rogers. That's what Claremont is saying, is that
Oh, he's coming
he's
back as Captain Hydra?
but also as a young Captain America, a regular Captain America, an evil Captain America, a Lord Hydra, like there like a whole bunch of different versions of Captain America. So yeah, Captain Hydra's in there. That's kind of what we were already saying. Like, there's going to be, because of the multiverse, there's going to be a whole bunch of different versions. There's going to be Robert Downey Jr., who's going to be playing Iron Man, and he's going to be playing Doom, and he's probably going to be playing something else or some other version of Iron Man or something like that. And then there's going to be the Scarlet Witch, and Scarlet Witch is going to be in there, but there's going to be a good Scarlet Witch and a bad Scarlet Witch, and yeah, they're bringing all these other people back too. Like we kind of already knew that, right? Just
Yeah, I guess.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure they're gonna play all their stupid games, and I'm sure that all of that is gonna happen. But
It's
I'd
gonna
be
be
surprised if they don't bring the real Steve Rogers to be the real. I don't know if they'll be Captain America, but they'll bring the real Steve Rogers. I also think there'll be some variation of Iron Man. They're already bringing Robert Downey Jr. I think that at some key moment in the movie, there's suddenly going to be an Iron Man showing up, and everybody's
yeah.
going to be really excited because that's all they're going to do here. This is a lot of they're going to go for the nostalgia bait, for the member berries, whatever they can shove in here. They're going to do that.
Oh yeah, and it's gonna be a steaming mess, because they don't even have a solid script. They're supposedly done shooting, and a lot of the rumors that came out from the studios, they never really fully had a script. There was never a finished script that was ready for them to shoot from. They were, oh, we've got this here, we've got that here, we're writing this page today and we'll shoot it tomorrow. Like, what a mess. It's the same thing that happened. The same thing that happened with Brave New World. And it's going to be that, but it's going to be 3 times worse, because this movie will have cost them 3 times what they spent on, or these 2 movies together will cost them even 3 times even the crazy amount of money that they spent on Brave New World. And it is going to be such a just steaming crater in theaters when it comes out. I really I know that they want to get people excited about this. I'm sure that they're going to be able to bring back some people, but I don't think this is going to have anywhere near the box office that they're praying for. I just don't think that the excitement is there anymore. The Marvel universe of the past 5-6 years has just evaporated. Its fan base is evaporated.
Or maybe they'll be able to bring people to watch these 2 movies, whatever they are, but it's not going to be something that automatically everybody runs to see every MCU movie. Deadpool and Wolverine, it got the audience, but then after that, it released a bunch of crappy movies, and whatever fan goodwill it built up within, that movie, it quickly spent it on a bunch of shitty projects. And I don't know that anything is going to be different after these 2 movies, unless they stop making them every second. They wait and once in a while release one with the actors and characters that you like, and actually write a screenplay and don't do something that's not crappy. Maybe they have a small chance, but like you said, it's never going to be the same momentum that they had leading up to Endgame. I mean, when Endgame came out, I don't think people now can even recall it. Even for it's
Oh,
difficult for me to remember, but I
when
remember.
Infinity War landed,
Oh,
and
Infinity
people
War.
lost their minds. Were incredible. And to be fair, Infinity War was a really good film.
It
Not
was.
only did you get the buildup of all of the movies from before it that were building up to tell, this this penultimate story here that you had with Infinity War, showing us, the all these characters coming together, all the different characters from different parts of the universe coming together. Like all of that was incredible, but actually you had a really well-paced, well-told film in what we got to see with Infinity War. Now, Endgame was less so, but you had all of the excitement from all of the 30-ish movies before that, right? And off of the high of Infinity War coming into that. So yeah, you have a movie that does 2 billion in the box office. There is not a chance in hell. There's not a snowball's chance in hell that this movie is going to bring in 2 billion. I don't think there's even a chance of it bringing in 1 billion. They will be lucky. They will be able to thank the stars if they can even break 800 million.
I
And I
think
don't even think it's going to get close to that. I don't think they're going to break 7.
I think that, with the right marketing and bringing back Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr., I'm not saying I don't even know if both movies, if it won't be like a diminishing return and then another diminishing return, but I would think that that should be able to somehow cross the billion. I wouldn't bet everything on it. I'm
Oh,
not saying that I would bet.
the two of them together will probably cross a billion.
Oh no, I
I
mean
don't think either of the two of them will
I
though.
I think that, the first one I think can cross a billion. And then what really matters is if the first one is good or not. I think that the
Yeah.
first one is going to
No.
get yeah, let's put it this way. If the first one opens up with a really good opening weekend and everybody is excited about the movie and fans feel respected, it's going to get to a billion. If it's a situation where the film opens up with a really big weekend opening and all that stuff, like all the people go and it's like a big deal, but everybody's saying this movie is horrendous, it's cringe, it's stupid, it's dumb, then they have a problem. Then they're not going to get to that billion. And that really is what matters. Let's put it this way. I
Yeah.
don't think they're making less than half a billion, in box office. But the question is whether how much they're going to make above, like, let's say half a billion depends on how good the movie is.
Oh yeah. If this really is a good film, I don't think there's any chance that's going to happen. I don't think there is any universe where this movie is going to be good. But if it gets solid, word of mouth, people are
Right.
saying, "Oh, you need to go see this." There's this great part with whatever, if it gets that, then there's a chance that people are going to go see this, but in order for a movie to get those big numbers, it has to have legs. And if the people, the big fans, the people who are still all in for Marvel, go out that first weekend to see it, and they're not going back to see it again, if the people that aren't the big fans that do go see it and go, if they're not recommending it to other people, you're not going to have a big, a huge second weekend. It's not going to have 8, 9 weeks in the theater when it's going to be pulling in big number. There's not a chance it's going to be making anything. And yeah, and the thing is, remember, you had pretty good word of mouth for Superman. There was pretty solid word of mouth for Superman. And even with the ticket prices that we've had jumping as much as they have in the last, 5 years, it still couldn't bring in, the 800 million. Sorry. It couldn't do it. So I just have a hard time believing that after everything that we've seen over the past few years, all the damage that has been done to the all the damage that has been done to the MCU, the MCU, and everything, that people are going to turn up in the numbers needed to get this
I'm
movie to a
even
billion.
more curious
Just don't
about
see it.
The Mandalorian and Grogu. Who's going to go see that? I have a feeling that that one could be a stinker, but I
Oh,
don't know.
yeah.
Maybe families that want to take their kids to a movie will think that that's cool. You never know what could happen. So with something that maybe appeals to children, there's always a chance that you could be surprised that somebody's just
Yeah.
like, I'll
Yeah.
give you an example. I'll give you an example. I went to see Mufasa when it came out, and I saw the movie. First of all, in the movie theater, there I think I've told you this before. It was filled with parents that brought their kids. Parents didn't look like they couldn't care less what was on screen. The kids were also kind of occupied. So a lot of like little children that were there, I didn't even see them looking on the screen, or sometimes they looked and there was some like lions talking. Meaning, the way I understood it, it wasn't necessarily that they needed the movie to be so good. They just needed to plant their kids somewhere, and they're like, fine, these talking lions will do. And when I saw that, I said to myself, and I said it in my review, I said, this movie, even though is a crappy movie, and I didn't like it at all, and it sends bad messages to children and all that, because I look for that kind of stuff. I said, this is the type of movie that could do well during the holiday, where parents will just look where to bring their kids to something that they know what the brand is. Lion King will sound good enough for them, and they're going to plant their kids there and whatever. I think I said that in my review, and sure enough, that movie had legs, meaning even if the opening was kind of softer than they expected, throughout the holiday they were looking to bring them somewhere and they put them there. Now, I don't remember when Grogu and Mandalorian comes out, but I wouldn't underestimate an idea that perhaps like parents would just bring their kids to it. Oh, it's Baby Yoda, my kid can watch it.
I mean, that's possible. I'll tell you that I don't think there's too many uh fans of that character. I think that character's kind of played out.
Yeah, no, I
And
totally agree. I think it's like it's all
so
done.
it's going to be the middle-aged women with Grogu tattoos on their, on
Somebody is going to go watch it, but it
their
doesn't feel
thighs.
it doesn't feel like $1 billion movie. The question is, and the real question here is, how much did they invest in making it? Because when they show those trailers, it looks like an episode of The Mandalorian. So I don't know how much they spent, but I wonder to myself if they didn't spend a minimal amount of money on that thing just to see what happens. Because if they can make like something like a 2 hour episode and film it for like tens of millions of dollars, $50 million or whatever it is, then it would be worth it for them. The question is how much they've spent on it. That's the big question. And we don't know that yet. But we do
Yeah,
have some super chats.
we don't know. We don't know yet.
So the real head case, 9.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Yeah, the Falcon rant to the senator was real cringe. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. And yes, that speech to the senator is one of the worst things that ever happened in the MCU ever. I don't think there's been a bigger moment of cringe, or that it has to be. I'm sure there's other moments of cringe in the past 5 years, but that, like, if
Yeah.
we did a top 10, moments of cringe, has to be there in the top 10.
Yeah,
It is
you gotta stop calling these people who are bombing malls and killing civilians terrorists.
terrorists. Yeah, you got to stop calling them terrorists, Senator. It's like the whole twisted. It was so twisted and annoying. Everything that they did on this show, I despise. Sorry, I don't like that's a strong word, but I really despise like all of the propaganda that they shoved into that show is so stupid. There was one guy that unfollowed me. There was one guy that used to follow me, and I wrote something that I thought that this was like overly political and shitty and all that stuff. And a guy who was how do I say this? Black. He unfollowed me because he's like, "Oh, you don't know what it feels like to be black." It's like, okay, I didn't say that I did. I just said that this show is a propaganda piece of shit, and I could think that and still be respectful towards other people. Doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that there's no discrimination in the world. It's just that show was a piece of shit.
Yeah, it absolutely was.
And what my biggest argument with people, that even though weirdos online or whatever, that I had about that show is, yes, there's some people that maybe because of the color of their skin go to the bank and they don't get approved a bank loan. I'm not saying that that's never happened. I'm saying that Anthony Mackie as Falcon, he goes to the bank. The first thing that happens, the bank manager wants to get selfies so he can show all his friends that Falcon came to his bank. If you're the guy that you came to the bank and the bank manager wants to send all of his buddies pictures that you two are hanging out, you're the type of guy that probably would get a bank loan. Do you get what I mean? Not to mention that they just wanted to like paste that problem on Falcon, but the problem doesn't make any sense. Falcon, if there was like a hole in his sister's ship, Falcon could have taken an Instagram and said, "Hey, my sister has a hole in her ship." Now imagine he's an Avenger, one of the people that saved the universe, and he's like, "Hey, can somebody come out here and help my sister fix the ship?" You would have people lining up to fix that stupid hole. You know, I would argue that he could call, the Pentagon and say, "Hey, my sister has a ship here. There's a hole in it," and I feel like somebody would have sent somebody to help him. You know what I mean? Like I don't believe that the stupid hole in the shrimp boat or whatever the fuck that was, Professor. Sorry, Sean. I don't think that that would have been an issue for a guy of his stature. Now, the other weird thing is that in the same show, he shows up in like Switzerland or I don't know where he goes, and people are like, "It's Falcon. You're an Avenger. You're a Falcon." If you're walking around on the street and everybody's like, saluting you and clapping, and they all recognize you, you will fix that fucking shrimp boat. Don't sell me this story that he's your average Joe and he can't fix the stupid shrimp boat. It's insulting. It's fucking insulting. And that's what annoyed me about the show. That they took a character that A was never talking about his skin color 24/7, was never treated poorly by the people around him or by his environment. He's considered I'd say an international, maybe in the galaxy, a hero. You know what I mean? Like there is a very select group of people that are amongst those heroes. They showed what's his face, Ant Man. Even in Ant Man, he's just sitting there. He wrote a book, and you have all these people showing up, and they're all buying his book. You know what I mean? You're a celebrity. There's no way that there's a hole in that shrimp boat. And that whole sob story of him going to the bank and whatever, it's so insulting to the intelligence. And that's what happens when you're trying to force something onto some like a propaganda onto something where it doesn't belong. So that's what I meant when I criticized it. And yes, I guess some people still, you know, I actually, I'll be honest with you, Professor. I feel kind of like a douche. I got really annoyed at that guy. Because what did he do? I think that I posted something. Now I remember, and we had been following each other for a long time, and like I thought we were friendly, and he unfollowed me. And it's like, I think that's such a weaselly thing to do. I know, like, I don't have any other way to describe it. I think that me explaining what I thought was wrong about this show and the way that that guy, unfollowed me and acted like, oh, you don't, I think that he was a weasel. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah,
I know this is controversial. I think that guy was a weasel.
yeah, yeah. I know what you mean.
Like, I guess what I'm saying is, I was very clear in my arguments, but like
Yeah.
that to me was like a snowflakey type of behavior, if you understand what I mean. Like,
Oh well, that's the thing. Like, this is a common thing, Price, that people on the left, people who want to be offended, that they will simply pretend to not understand what it was you said and just insert a completely different argument in there that involves racialisms of some kind, right? They don't they're not bothered with what you actually said. They simply want to insert what they believe you said so that they can get upset. They're never going to actually bother to think
to be
through any
fair,
real argument.
to be fair, there haven't been a million people like that online that, were cool with me for a long time and suddenly they did that. There was that one instance. There was another instance that there was an episode of Quantum Leap, the reboot, and it was an episode about a transformer girl. Oh no, no, sorry, it was Doctor Who, and in Doctor Who they introduced a transformer person, and I said something in a video, and this person went to Twitter. I don't even know. I maybe they shut down their account. I haven't seen it in a while. You know how you have like a voice message.
Yeah.
Now, usually, like me and this guy were super cool. You know what I mean? We talk about. I criticized Quantum Leap. We were totally cool with each other. Everything was fine. I did this video about this kind of thing, and I don't know. I guess the guy watched it. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I sent him a link or he just watched the episode, the video, and then I suddenly saw that I have like a voice thing, and I'm like, oh, he probably watched my video. I'm so curious to hear his thoughts because I was pretty cool with the guy. So I pressed play, thinking, oh, like he'll say something funny or give his thoughts or whatever. And then he starts saying like, I've watched your video. I think that he had like a British accent. I've watched your video, and I have one thing to say to you. And I'm like kind of chuckling. I'm thinking, oh, this is gonna be good. And then he's like, you are a fucking twat. Like he starts like, cursing me out. And I'm still laughing, thinking, this guy is really, really going in here. Like I'm waiting for the punchline. And then he just goes on a rant for like a minute of voicemail of him cursing me out, telling me I'm the most terrible person that ever lived, and like foaming at the mouth. And I'm still waiting for the punchline. I'm like, is there is there a joke at the end of this voicemail? And he keeps cursing and cursing and cursing, and the voicemail ends. And nope. And I think then I looked and I think he unfollowed me. That was it, because I made fun of some stupid thing on Doctor Who. I don't understand that. I mean, they did put a Transformer girl. It was like, I'm a relatively decent guy. I don't even think there is people that are genuinely offensive. I think that I'm not like the most offensive. Sure, I'll poke fun at stuff, but I don't think that I was the worst. It was a shitty episode. What was I gonna do? It was that
Yeah.
one where like the creature shows up and he tells him, "No, what about my pronouns?" or whatever. Like, come on, like that was that. If I wasn't gonna make fun of that episode, Professor, what was I gonna make fun of? If not that episode with the pronouns and the transformer person, it was like it was waiting for me to make jokes about it. You know what I mean? And I didn't think that there was anything too mean spirited about it, but that really happened. I don't share it. I
Yeah.
didn't share it with people because I still think that if it's a private message or even a private voice message, then sharing it with people is like the wrong thing to do. I mean, if there was ever a person that deserved it, it would be that guy, but I still didn't do it.
Nah. You don't. That's
No, you don't do
if
that. But if there
if
were,
somebody's sending stuff on, in the open, whatever. Yeah, you can call them out on it. But
yeah,
yeah,
no,
they're
no. If
sending
he
you
sends
private
out in the
messages.
open,
Yeah.
yeah. Recently, somebody wrote something negative about me out in the open, but by the time that I had gone to respond to it, that person had deleted it. So there's that.
Yeah, maybe they thought better of it, but who knows?
Yeah, I have a theory, but I will keep that theory to myself. In any case, didn't even share that with people. I mean, there's not much to share. It was deleted, but I saw it. I certainly saw that it was there, Professor.
Yep.
You
Yep.
you
How
you
could you
should
not? How could you not see that it was there? and
no,
and then
because
and then it wasn't.
no, but the thing is that it wasn't up for a long time. It was there,
Yeah.
I saw it, and I was already like, getting ready to respond, but the next thing I know it was gone. So I just kind of left it alone. But yeah, I will consider it somebody that wrote something and regretted writing it and deleted it for whatever reasons, and I will accept it as is. But
That's all we can do.
there's still something to be said. If you see it, you see it. I can't unsee it, you know what I mean?
Nope.
If I see it, I see it. Anyhow, we've
Oh
gone in a
boy.
lot of strange directions,
Yeah,
Professor.
we've been
Where
going
where
all
are
over.
we?
We were at I think we've been talking about Steve Rogers and the MCU in one way or another for the last like 45 minutes.
Probably. The Dead Man 79 says Disney Plus
Yeah.
is the Beatles doc. I don't have Disney Plus, but my family member does, so I will watch it over the holidays. They have a few things on there. They have the Get Back doc, which is
Yeah.
actually good. That's a good documentary. Then they have the anthology, which
Yeah, and we've got a super chat that Dead Man sent about the anthology, so you might want to pull that
Oh, okay.
one up.
Well, let's go over. Did I say the
did-
things here? The Falcon and the Senator. We did that, and then Male Cali.
I think that's supposed to be Melakalikimaka.
Ah, okay. Cool. And then, let's see, okay, there's another, s super chat. Okay, let's see for a second. I'm trying to start share screen. Let's see what it says. Okay, so price off topic. This is the Dead Man for 9.99. First of all, thank you for everybody for the real head case for 9.99. The Dead Man for 3 super chats. He had the 1.99, the 9.99, but then he had a previous one which was 1.99 also. And the Dead Man is always very generous, and I've noticed it and I always appreciate it. The Dead Man also he does Star Trek stuff on his channel, so you should definitely check it out. Make sure you're sub to him and that you're checking out his Star Trek stuff, especially if you like Star Trek. He says, price off topic. I will see the Beatles anthology 4 tomorrow. Haven't seen it yet, but I hope you and Tom get to argue over it for an hour at least. Who knows? Maybe one day. But what I'll say about the anthology, I don't know what you're talking about for because there's two different things going on. There's the CDs and the series. The CDs, basically, there was Anthology 1, 2, and 3, and that came out in the 90s, which was uh, tracks that were like demos and different like rare recordings and unreleased stuff from the Beatles' vault. And it had songs. Free as a Bird, and it had Real Love, which basically they took cassettes that John Lennon was singing and playing something in the 70s, and in the 90s they completed it with whatever technology they had then. Now, Anthology 4, what happened was is that there's other recordings that they didn't release at the time from the vault, so they added a fourth CD with new recordings or, some additional recordings from the vault. In that sense, it's fine. I don't have any issue with the recording from the vaults. I also think that they did a lot of good mixing for the tracks for the other 3 CDs. They did like a fresh remastering or whatever it is. The criticism I have from that CD from Anthology 4 is I believe that it has new mixes for Free as a Bird and for Real Love, the ones from the 90s. And in both cases, I feel like the remixes are not as good as the ones from the 90s. Because what they did was they took AI, which is able to clean up noise in a way that they couldn't do in the 90s, and they tried to tidy up the recording, but something in the way they mixed it kind of feels lifeless. And I really feel that they hurt John's vocals, especially. In addition, and I've said it here to the professor, that when it comes to Real Love, they just took parts of George Harrison's awesome guitar playing, one of his best guitar playing solos, whatever that I've heard, and they just started trimming it and like deleting stuff that he recorded for no apparent reason, and that I can't forgive. So Free as a Bird and Real Love, those things on Anthology 4, and not a fan of them. I do think that the song Now and Then that they released, in the past few years, I thought that was decent. That's another one of those cassette with John Lennon thing they started working on in the 90s. They didn't have the technology to finish it. They finished it now. I think that song came out okay, but the other ones have issues with. And the thing is that even though they're like, multi-billion-dollar operation, I could have done a better job at mixing Free as a Bird and Real Love instead of them. Like I would have understood how to make it work better than they did, and I think that's kind of embarrassing because like I have a laptop and like a microphone and they have billions of dollars and I would have done a better job than them and I would be embarrassed if I was them. But that's a whole different story. Now, when it comes to what you're going to watch on Disney Plus, there is the anthology series. And now, anthology series, there were originally 8 episodes, I believe, and now they added a ninth one. To wrap up the series, the ninth one. I watched the ninth one. It's all right. It contains some stuff that I feel were like additional features that people have seen in places over the years. I didn't feel that it was magnificent. It was all right. But worse than that, I rewatched the entire anthology series from episode 1 to 8, and it turned out that they started like editing out. And I told you this, Professor. Disney, or I don't
Yeah.
know who's in charge of it, or maybe Disney and the Beatles themselves started editing out parts of the anthology of the video thing, the interviews, that seemed offensive. So John Lennon calling his friends the R word, or no, he was as a joke pretending he was the R word, and he would do that kind of thing to make them laugh. Deleted that whole conversation. Whatever they talk about him doing the R thing, deleted it. Now, I think that a young man doing some stupid joke is not offensive, but that's the level of PC that we have today, that like they can't have that in there. I told you before there was a story about Paul tells a story that him and Pete Best, the first drummer, were arrested because they had like a condom that they like set on fire or something like that. And somebody said they were disturbing the peace, and I guess arrested them. And then when they're telling this story about the condom, George Harrison, and I haven't watched this in years, but from what vaguely recall, says something like, "Oh, they thought that you were too gay Frenchman," or something like that. And everybody, like, they both, him and Paul, have a chuckle. But again, not PC. They had to delete it. And when I was watching that anthology, so much has been scrubbed. Anything that's like a little bit like, you watch the anthology for those moments. You know what I mean? As somebody that's like a fan, I want to know the kind of conversations these guys have, and I want it to be as real as possible. Once you're trimming down all this stuff and you're just leaving me with a kind of vanilla bullshit, you're really taking away what the anthology is. So that's what that's like, that's one of the biggest issues. And there was something else also. I think that Stuart Sutcliffe, their original bass player, there was a situation, I think I told you this, or maybe I didn't, that him and John were like in an alley, and some thugs beat them up. And at the end, they're saying that his death had something to do with that because he had some kind of damage to his head that he never recovered from. And there was a whole very serious part there. They're talking about their friend, how he died and what it meant to them and what he meant to the band. And I'm watching this thing and they just deleted all of it. It's like, why the fuck am I watching this? Like, put in the stuff that people want. We want to know what happened, in Germany. We want to know what happened when this group from nowhere, like from Liverpool, was building something. We want to hear these stories. You deleting them just because you think that maybe it doesn't make you sound good or something, I don't like any of that. And I think that whole anthology on Disney is a sham. It's a sham. I don't know who to blame for it. I don't know if it's Paul that wanted this. Paul and Yoko wanted to revise history. I don't know if it's Disney. I don't know if it's Disney and Paul. I don't know if it's Peter Jackson. I don't even know who was involved in it. All I know is that this thing that appears on Disney, it's an abomination. It's not the real anthology. And these songs that now they did a mixing of, I think that they're kind of an abomination too. Super disrespectful, especially to George Harrison. Not to mention, in Free as a Bird, they used a different take of George Harrison singing. And that annoys me also. It's like in the original song they did in the 90s, he says, "Whatever happened to the life that we once knew?" And here, they didn't like that, so they use a different take that he goes, "The love that we once knew." Now, the thing is that life and love are not the same word. And I assume that when he was alive, he approved the one that he wanted. Sorry, I have a sore throat, by the way, so it wasn't the best
Yeah.
performance of it, but you know what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is he was alive and he approved what he wanted. Why is he now? Are they now using a different take that he didn't approve? Do you get what I'm saying? Like he was.
That's irritating. Yeah.
And the guitar, he came and he did his solos, and you're just like, yeah, let's just delete them. What do you mean delete them? The song was released with his approval, with those solos. The man is dead. Do not delete his solos. Plus, the solos kick ass. Whatever they deleted is, there's no reason to delete it. I know what the reason is. You know what the reason is? Probably one of the weasels over there, whoever is behind this thing, told, the Paul or whatever, today the young people, they have like their ears are stupid. So the more repetitive it is and the more like kind of, not as artsy or whatever, maybe like people will connect with the song more. You're not trying to connect with some weird TikTokers. Fuck you. Leave the solo in. He did the solo, you leave it in. That's all I have to say.
Yep.
Anyhow, that's what I have to say about it.
So,
The dead
yeah.
man. The dead man can't say that he didn't get the full $9.99.
He got his money's worth, that's for sure.
Got his full money's
also
worth.
got
and the real
we also got a lovely chat from Robot Head there.
Oh.
I'm gonna pull up.
Wait a second. We got a chat from Robot Head.
Not a super chat. Just a regular
Ah, I
chat.
see. Okay.
Yes.
A big Merry Christmas to everyone. Thanks to Price and Professor for coming on my channel for the trigger warning show and bringing some class to the Robot Head universe. Well, thank you very much for inviting us, Robot. It's always
Absolutely.
pleasure being on your channel on those streams, and you're always welcome to join us for this one. I avoid sending him invites because I feel like I'm just putting pressure on him. I never even know what time it is. I don't know if now it's like the time that he's drinking beer, or he's just waking up, or he's falling asleep. That's It's also an advantage with like Australia time. Nobody knows what time it is there. Like until this day, like experts haven't revealed what's going on there. Plus, they keep a strange schedule. I think that Robot Head wakes up at 9 a.m. and goes to the bar, although I have no way to prove that.
I think it's like 5:30 in the afternoon there. So.
He is sitting at a bar right now and drinking. That's what I assume. But I'll make a deal with you, Robot Head. If you ever are at home and are not at a bar drinking, then you are always welcome. So if you tell me, automatically you get an invite, but I won't put the pressure on you. Anyhow, where were we, Professor?
Oh, let's see. Well, I know you've I think we've talked to the MCU to death. I know you've seen a couple of movies, right?
I did. I've seen a couple of movies. Not the best movies ever made, but I did see
Yeah.
a couple of them. So I'll start off with a movie that I saw with Sydney Sweeney. And this movie is called The Housemaid. This one is already out. The other movie that I'm going to talk about is actually not out in theaters. I saw an advanced screening. But we're going to start off with the regular one. So let's see, where is... Okay, it's this one. Are you ready, Professor?
Oh, yeah.
So this one is called The Housemaid, and it has Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried. Now, this movie is based on a book, and this is important because first of all, obviously, this is a book that I think is targeted more for women. I obviously didn't read this book. Uh, in addition, I didn't really know what to think about going into this movie. I watched it, and I'll tell you a little about it. Uh, the movie starts off where you have this character played by Sydney Sweeney, and she's actually kind of down on her luck. She lives in her car, she has no money, and she learns that, or she sets up, an appointment to be interviewed for a job as a housemaid for a wealthy couple in Long Island in New York. No, and they have this big house, and they're like a wealthy couple, and they have a child, and all this stuff. And she goes and she does this interview, and everything she does in her interview, she basically fudges everything. She's not like uh, just gives a resume that's full of crap, but she just really is desperate and wants the job. And she comes to the interview. It seemingly goes half okay. She looks around. It's a very kind of nice place, very fancy and whatever it is. But she thinks to herself she's not going to get the job. She wants to work at a diner or something like that. But surprisingly, she gets a call, and she gets the job. So she starts working for Amanda Seyfried and her husband. And what happens is that as she really quickly, when she works there, she discovers that this Amanda Seyfried character lady is bonkers. She takes a bunch of pills. She's like, seems schizophrenic and, ups and downs. And she starts getting upset about random stuff and making her life very difficult. And it becomes like really intolerable. And I would say that for the first maybe hour of this movie, or maybe like the first 45 minutes or whatever it is, I thought it was pretty interesting. I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. She's working for this wacky lady. And like, what's this lady going to do? Is she dangerous? And like things like that. And seemingly like the husband seems like he's more understanding and nice, and he has to put up with this lady who's like bonkers and crazy. um, I feel like you know you guys can tell me if the chat if you want me to spoil or not, but I don't know, should I spoil it? What should I do, Professor?
I mean, I don't know how many people are going to go out to see this one, other than fans of Sydney Sweeney's
Well, some people like Sydney Sweeney.
personality. Yeah.
People are saying that I'm echoing, but I don't understand how I'm echoing. Doesn't sound like an echo to me.
Oh,
How do
I
we
don't know.
what do we do,
Are
professor? What do
are you still hearing it?
I'm not here.
I don't know, I'm not hearing anything. Nope. I let's see. I'm looking at the chat here. Sounds clean now. Spoil away. It's possible. Sometimes I have open headphones. Sometimes if I am turned just right, sometimes the mic can pick up the headphones. Might be that. Might have
No,
been
I
that.
just listened on like the YouTube stream. There was a bit of an echo.
Yeah. It might have been picking up my headphones through my mic. I don't know.
Have no idea. I don't know how to stop it, but and in the worst case,
Yeah.
you hear some echo. It's not a
Yeah.
bad thing. Echo is cool. So basically, I did people say they wanted the spoiler or not? What are people saying? Spoil
Several
away.
people said spoil away. I didn't see anybody say no, don't spoil it.
Okay, okay. So basically, as the wife seems to be losing it, Sydney Sweeney's character becomes more close with the husband, and also kind of she thinks to herself, "This guy's really rich. He kind of likes me. Maybe it crosses her mind that she can, be the spouse of the rich dude or whatever it is." And what happens is that the quote unquote twist, which I pretty much saw coming from 70 miles away, is that the husband is also there's something wrong with him. And what it turns out at the end is that basically this whole time that like you thought that Amanda Seyfried was bad, she was actually the victim because of his abuse or whatever it is, and she was doing this whole thing. The reason why she hired Sydney Sweeney is she wanted to run away from him with her daughter, which was her daughter and not his daughter. It's a really long story. So she wanted to run away, and basically she brought Sydney Sweeney there to be like the new girl that he abuses. While he like tells her, "I don't want to be with you anymore," and she leaves because he prefers to be with Sweeney. So she like gets to leave. Now, the part that I don't understand about all of this, especially that when they explain that they had a prenup and all that stuff, Amanda Seyfried could have just taken her daughter and walked out the door if she's sane enough to think to herself, "How do I get out of here? I'll find a different woman that'll be the victim, and I'll get out of here." Well, she could have just gotten up, and left. You know what I mean? They try to explain it that he institutionalized her and all this other shit. I thought it all sounded very flimsy and dumb. But let's say I accept all of that. At the end, there's so many like twists and turns and different things, but obviously the women at the end team up for a "you go girl" situation where they end up taking the guy out quite literally. And at the end, even though like they everything that they did, it all kind of a lot of conveniences happen where it turns out that everything works out great for them, whereas everything doesn't quite turn out as good for him. Now, don't get me wrong; he's an abusive jerk. It's not like anybody's shedding tear over for him, but this is a very much like female driven "you go girl" type of thriller. And the funny thing is, it's directed by Paul Feig. I didn't even realize the guy that did Ghostbusters 2016. I guess he's obsessed with making like movies that are like about female empowerment. It's like, dude,
Yes, he is.
it's like, dude, why aren't you obsessed with this? What's wrong with you? Yeah, you can make one movie like that. What, your whole filmography is like men are bad, women are great. You start thinking to yourself, there's something suspicious about this guy. You know, a guy that's too over the top with this kind of stuff is usually suspicious, in my opinion. So that's just my humble opinion. I don't know the guy. I'm just saying what I think. Seems obsessed with it. So the one thing I'll say is that when I watched the movie, I especially felt that the third act felt like, those kind of it had a feeling of like J.J. Abrams and Ryan Johnson, or like, like somebody maybe have reshot it, or they didn't know what to do with it. Like something didn't work for me about the third act because there's so many conveniences and so many preposterous things happening. So I went home and I actually Googled and read the plot summary of the book, and it looks like the third act of what would be the equivalent in the book is a little again, that book is preposterous as well, but at least like there's a little more grounded ending to that book that seems a little more logical. You probably still have to suspend disbelief, but in the movie, you have to suspend a lot more disbelief. And that was really the issue I had with the movie. Uh, Again, if I zoom out and I look at it, I thought Sydney Sweeney did a pretty decent job. I think that in my video, I said that a lot of ladies hate her because they don't look nice, they don't look so good, but that I think that she's a decent actress. I'm not saying she's the best actress, but I think she's an above average actress. I've seen her do 4 different roles this year. She was a stuttering waitress in Americana. She was an athlete in Christie. She was a German immigrant in a period piece in Ron Howard's Eden. And in this movie, she played, this housemaid. I think that she's fine. She can do a lot of different things, and I think she's okay. She's not the worst actress. There's certain publications that the second they see her, they just start writing how terrible she is. I don't think she's terrible. I'm not saying that she's like, she has the acting chops of like Helen Mirren or something, but you know what I mean. She's not a bad actress.
No, she's not.
She does. She's good enough, and yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be enough if like she looks decent and like that's sometimes not enough. But I think it's a decent, it's a reasonable combination of not looking bad and at the same time her acting is pretty decent. I I don't think she did anything wrong in the movie. I just didn't love the movie. I feel like it was targeted more towards women. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Like I think I gave it a passing grade in my review. It just wasn't like passing. It was almost barely passing. Like if you're not thinking about it and you don't really care and you know that the end is like stupid and dumb and you're watching some crap, as like a guilty pleasure type of popcorn movie, I would think that especially if you're like on a date, I think that women probably would like. I'm not saying that all women. I think that there's women that listen to this stream that may not like it, but you're more like not thinking outside the box. Woman will probably be like, oh, it's okay. Exactly the type of guilty pleasure that they would like. Maybe it could be okay as like a date movie, sort of. It's not exactly single white female. That one was a bit different because it has a little bit of that vibe, but it's not 100% because the husband is really like the husband is the bad guy, not Rebecca De Mornay or whatever her name was. Was it Rebecca De Mornay, Professor? In single white
Oh,
female?
oh, gosh, I don't remember. I don't think I've actually ever seen that.
Single white female. Let's see for a second who is in that. It stars. Oh, I guess I was wrong. It was Bridget Fonda and
Mm.
Jennifer Jason Lee. Who did I say it was? Who did I just say it
I
was?
think you said Rebecca De Mornay.
Yeah, I don't know why. Why did I think that? Oh well. Wh- Could there have been a movie that Rebecca De Mornay did that was similar to that?
Uh,
We
let's
have to
see.
we have to look into this now. Uh, I have to look at Rebecca De Mornay's filmography. Risky Business, yes. Feds, Dealers, Backdraft. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. That's why.
That's the one. Yeah.
That was like the same. That maybe that one is okay. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle would be more like this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think that in the Hand That Rocks the Cradle, there is a husband and wife, and then she was trying to get it into the pants of the husband or whatever it is, which I feel like she probably does.
Hmm.
Anyhow, so I was close enough. At least I know I'm not crazy. It wasn't. I know that it wasn't the right one, but I was so close, Professor. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, because they came out in the same year. This is 1992, and what's the other one? Single White, also 1992. You know how sometimes in Hollywood they have a movie and then the competing studio tries to make the same movie? I feel like they both try to do a same kind of thing, Only one did it with a roommate that just wants to replace the roommate, and the other one did it with like a crazy lady that wants to replace the wife. So yes, this new movie is more like The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, the Sydney Sweeney one, and it's not a disaster. Yeah, De Mornay was trying to replace and off the wife. To be fair, De Mornay used to look rather nice from what I recall, so I can understand why she'd be this kind of femme fatale and why the husband would be interested in such endeavors. I'm not condoning such behavior. I'm just saying that I'm trying to I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the husband. I'm gonna shut up now. Uh, well, oh, Sal called it. Sorry, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Let's see. Did Sal call it? Let's see where. Did somebody earlier say single? Oh, it's single white female. Yeah, I don't know if somebody else says it before. Anyhow, if I missed it, I apologize. But yeah, you guys were right. It is single white female. Here, Sal called it. Okay. Yeah, single white female. I understand. Where were we, Professor?
Well, just
There was another movie.
yeah.
Okay, so I
Oh
saw.
yeah, the other movie, We Bury the Dead. Oh, this one. This is the new Daisy Ridley one, isn't it?
Yes, I did a review and I posted one earlier. So I don't know why it says 2024. The movie is 2025, but whatever. We Bury the Dead. Let's see if I can share the screen. So basically, this movie called We Bury the Dead is it's a movie like a zombie type of supposedly survival zombie horror thriller. In reality, if you ask me, Professor, it's none of those things, and that's really the problem of the movie. The movie starts off, and you have Daisy Ridley, and before you even see Daisy Ridley, the movie starts off where you see like a bunch of news reports that explain that the U.S. Army made a mistake. They had some experimental weapon that they didn't know what to do with, or they experimented, or they did some mistake, and due to their mistake, 500,000 people in Tasmania died on the spot. Died. And then what happens is that in the aftermath of that, we see Daisy Ridley. Her husband was in Tasmania, so she flies all the way over there, supposedly from America. Her American accent isn't great. There's moments where it sounds better than other moments. There's some moments that it sounds like a woman, a British woman trying to do a American accent. If we're being honest, not the worst, but there were moments. There were moments that it's more obvious. In any case, she's playing an American woman. She wants to go to. She goes to Tasmania, and the reason she goes there is that she wants to volunteer to help the local authorities, including the army. She wants to help them round up bodies because there's a special unit that they round up all the bodies of the dead people. Now, here's the issue, and this is what I said, like also in my review. If you have a woman that she's a grieving widow that just lost her husband, that is not the woman that you want on your team looking for bodies. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's bad news. This is like an HR situation. If I was interviewing people and some lady's like, "My husband is somewhere over there. I want to find him, but I'll join your unit." I'd be like, "No, thanks, lady. Take a hike." Like, nothing personal. I empathize with your loss and all that other stuff, but you can't be here. Like that's not a person that I would rely on. But nope, in this nobody cares. They hire her or whatever. She volunteers, whatever it is. So they team her up with a guy, local guy, and then they go around finding bodies and stuff. And it turns out that some of these bodies are actually not dead. They kind of come back to life as zombies. And everybody knows this. The military knows this. So the second they find these zombies, they signal to the military. Somebody comes in and they kind of shoot them, and they just go around. Bodies are, regular bodies are buried, but the ones that became zombies, they dispose of them. So they do that, and then suddenly, like Daisy Ridley is like, "My husband was at some hotel resort. I need to go there." So she tells the guy that's like her partner in these kind of going to houses and finding bodies. She's like, "We got to leave now." So he's like, "I have a motorcycle. Let's go." It's like he doesn't even ask any questions. Why he needs to drive out? Why he needs to do this? Go against the military and like find this dead husband. All of it is just like nobody acts like a real character here. It's such, I don't want to use the R word, but it's kind of the R word behavior for people, if you understand what I mean. So he drives her, he starts driving her, but then they get pulled over by like authorities and some like kind of military general guy or whatever it is. He puts her in a cell. Apparently, that other guy ran away. Like the guy on the motorcycle that was helping her, he runs away because like he knows they're in danger. She gets stuck with a military man. And then he says, "Listen, I'll help you find your husband. But before we do, we have to go to my house. I have to pick some stuff up there. Why don't you join me? We'll eat a meal." And she's kind of hesitant, but she goes. But then when she arrives, turns out that he's kind of nutty, that he lost his whole family and his wife. And then he kind of says, "Oh, I'll take you, but only if you put on this dress and we dance." And like he wants her to wear his wife's clothes. And he becomes all kind of creepy. And she tries to sort of appease him, but then like she starts getting, worried about it, scared about it. So she runs into a room and discovers that his wife is a zombie that's pregnant. This is all very weird, this zombie pregnant thing. Then she
What?
finds that
It's a pregnant zombie.
it's a pregnant zombie. This is actually a thing. And that's why like
Okay.
he doesn't want to kill her, because if she's pregnant and there's a baby inside, well, the baby can still be a baby. There is a whole lot of questions of how that baby can be a baby if she's a zombie, and that whole idea sucks in my opinion. I cannot
It's
stand that.
ridiculous. It's
Ridiculous.
ridiculous.
It's a stupid fucking idea. Sorry, Sean. So there's the pregnant thing. Then she kind of runs into the barn. Oh, sorry, guys. Is it okay that I do spoilers?
Who's gonna go see this? I don't know. But it does have an 88 on the tomato meter.
Yeah, I'll tell you why in a second. I think it has
Yeah.
88. Uh, Basically, what happens is that she ends up like the guy starts like kind of being creepy again, and at the end she kind of deletes him. I think she deletes him, at least like severely injures him, and runs away, grabs his car and runs away, and she drives away. And then I don't know, she ditches the car like a dum dum, and then like she goes and meets other zombies, and some of them are weird, some of them chase her, some of them don't. It's all just weird shit, man. And I'll tell you this, it's so slow and boring. Usually you think zombies, you're thinking there's like real scares and really kind of like spooky zombies, and you're worried and it's in the apocalypse and all this shit. This movie is a snooze. It is so boring. It is such a boring fucking movie. You just sit there. And I think the movie was 90 minutes and it felt like it was 90 hours. Nothing was happening in this movie. Uh, I've seen episodes of like The Walking Dead later seasons when the show was shitty that were better than this shit. And yeah, so basically, she ends up going to the hotel room, finding where her husband was. Okay, so she goes to the hotel, she finds her husband, and it turns out that her husband is dead, and he's not a zombie. He's just dead in his hotel room. But then there's a quote unquote twist. The husband is not alone because he died there. He died there with a woman who was with him. I guess apparently he was cheating on his wife. So, as Daisy Ridley sees that there was another woman there, whatever, the guy with the motorcycle suddenly shows up. How did this guy get here? Why does he arrive now? Nobody even explains it. He just shows up, and at this point, you're just like, ah, fuck it, who cares? So he arrives, and then he sees like there's a woman there, so he also figures, oh, like the guy cheated on her. And then Daisy Ridley tells him, the truth is that I cheated on him first. We were having trouble in our marriage. I couldn't get pregnant. There was like tension and anger, and at the end I cheated on him, so that's why he's cheating on me here now. And it's like, if your marriage was so miserable and everything was so shitty, why did you come halfway across the world to join
Yeah.
some Why did you fucking come here when they already told you that he was dead? Why
Yeah.
did you come here? Why did you need to come to this fucking place if you didn't like him anyways and you were cheating on him and you thought he was shit? Why did you need to come here to this stupid fucking place?
My
So this whole
God,
thing,
that makes no sense at all.
no,
Oh yeah, I was already cheating on him, and he was cheating on me because I was cheating. Like, you would go to all that trouble, you would go to all of that to try and find this guy who's you've been told is dead, who you were already cheating on, and your relationship was already over. That is nonsense.
it is so stupid. And again, it's not like until that moment this movie is like you're on the edge of your seat. You just want this thing to be over already. And then so after this happens, it turns out like maybe there's a pool in this place. So she goes with like the guy that was with the motorcycle that arrived, and then they're like in a pool like drinking and celebrating. What are they celebrating? I don't even fucking know. And then at the end they also like you see that they're waking up together in bed. So I guess it's implied that he's like banging her. I mean, her husband is like
Why
in
not?
another room at this resort, dead, and she's like banging this other guy. Whatever, I don't even know. And then the next thing you know, they're like on his motorcycle going around. Maybe they're taking out some zombies themselves. I don't really know. And then the final like scene of the movie is uh, she sees like I think that it's the same wife of the military man, although it could be a different wife. And where she sees the zombie woman standing, and it looks like the zombie woman gave birth. Like there's something that she has, like, a stain on her dress. So Daisy Ridley, like, understands that this zombie woman that looked like she was pregnant, but now she's holding her, private part. It looks like, that the zombie gave birth. So she starts running around looking for where the baby is, and she finds him in the field. So she runs with the guy with the motorcycle to the baby in the field. She picks him up. The baby seemingly looks normal, although I don't know how the baby would seem normal or how any of this would happen. And then Daisy Ridley picks up the baby, and like the movie abruptly ends with her just standing and holding the baby. Meaning, I guess it's implied that now the baby belongs to her. Why I think that this movie got good grades from these Rotten Tomato critics is because between this is just my 2 cents. I could be wrong. Between like the buffoonery of the US Army that killed 500,000 people, between the military man that's there, I think he's supposed to be I thought he was a local guy. He kind of has an accent, the guy, so I don't know if he was trying to pretend. He's not pretending he's American. He was local. But the military man was also toxic, okay? You have the Americans that are stupid and dropped a bomb, 500,000 people killed. The military man is a toxic, male asshole, whatever it is. And at the end, even the thing that this lady, has birth and this other one picks it up, there's some kind of female angle here. You know what I mean? Because it sure ain't the zombies. There's like this movie is light on scares. The zombies are boring and stupid. Everything is stupid and boring. And the only reason that they would give this movie a good grade is just because there's something about the messaging that they enjoy, some kind of female thing. Even here, the fact that she's like, it could have been interesting to find your husband with another woman if she was so devoted to him. She saw that could have been an interesting twist. But the fact that within 1 second of the twist, she's like, nope, I cheated on him first. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
then what the fuck are you doing here? You know what I mean? You just ruined the entire fucking movie. Either you love this guy and you came here to search for him like high and low, or you didn't give a shit about him. So what are you doing here? Why would you come to a place where you were told that some bomb experimental thing happened where 500,000 people died? Why would you want to be here? You idiot. So
It
yeah, the whole
makes
thing, and the thing with the
makes
baby at the
no
end that she
sense.
wanted a baby, but then he wasn't
Yeah.
there. It's almost
But
like
then
I,
a
di- I
but
I
then a
didn't need no
zombie
man.
gives birth to a live, healthy baby?
Yes, the
I
zombie gives birth to a live, healthy baby, and at the end, maybe the critics like it because there's a feeling of I don't need no man. You know what I mean? Like, who needs a man? I
Zombie don't need no man.
zombie don't need no man. I could cheat on my husband, and now like there's a baby here for me, and now there's this other guy with a motorcycle that I'm banging. It's like I don't know, man. It just this whole movie. It feels like the type of movie and I said this in my review that somebody will probably call, and I didn't look at the reviews here. That somebody will say, "Oh, it's the Thinking Man zombie movie," but I 100% disagree. It's not a thinking man. It's not philosophical. It's not anything. I'm curious what these critics are saying about it because this was an awful movie. This no way 88%. 88% I give movies that are like, you know, I think that, like, I'm trying to think of movies that I give 88% to, but it's like they have to be fucking good, you know what I mean? Like, they have to be almost, like, legendary to get 88 from me. Let's see. Let's see reviews. Okay. View more. Hilditch's movie is so assured, so certain. Can you see this?
Mm-hmm.
So certain of its place in multiple canons, so patently its own and so effective. What the fuck is you talking about?
Nonsense.
At least
Just
one person
nonsense.
says, for each of its zombie genre innovations, We Bury the Dead is too hamstrung by its conventions and becomes too meditative to excite. Thoughtful undead thriller puts emphasis on healing, not headshots. Remember what I told you? Thoughtful.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually like Christian Toto. I can't believe he fell for this. I am really ashamed. Like, Christian Toto is like usually a good guy. I don't know how he fell for this. I will ask him what he thought about it. I don't think it was thoughtful at all. I will say that I don't dislike this guy. Phil Walsh, Geeks Vibe Nations, held together by a magnetic performance, Daisy Ridley. You can say a lot of things about a performance. Magnetic is not one of them. It's a serviceable enough performance. It's not magnetic. It still delivers the usual hits, but the story is poignant, offering a loss and grief, a beautifully shot and haunting tale. I will say that the cinematography they filmed in Australia, and there's some nice shots there just because of the general place that they're in. There are some nice shots in this movie, but that doesn't mean that the movie is good. If We Bury the Dead's premise sounds grim, its execution pulses with life. Needle drops that shouldn't work but do, pockets of absurd beauty amid ruin, and a finale that detonates like something with something like grace. No, not at all. Hilditch is a major genre voice, perhaps still to deliver his masterwork. We Bury the Dead is a teeth-gnashing shuffle in the right direction. I don't know, a bunch of nonsense. I can't. I don't know what what movie these people saw. It's a shit movie.
What else is Zach Hilditch is the director?
Yeah, I don't know who this is. He's supposed to be anybody good?
These Final Hours,
Never seen it.
2013. An apocalyptic drama established Hilditch as a significant voice in Australian cinema. 1922.
Never seen it.
A Netflix original feature adapting Stephen King's novella.
Never
starring
seen
Thomas
it.
Jane. Rattlesnake, a Netflix original thriller, making him
he's basically
the first Australian. Yeah.
He's a direct to Netflix director. That's what I understand.
And then We Bury the Dead is his newest. Yeah.
Well, it seems like the critics, except for Rattlesnake, they seem to love him. Maybe that's just he's one of those guys that they just like to kiss his ass. Interestingly,
if he's a male feminist, yeah,
maybe that's what he is.
Could be it.
They gave 1922 a 92, but the audience gave it a 58. The Final Hours 84 they gave him a 65. I don't know. I don't think people are going to like this We Bury the Dead. It depends on what you're looking for. If you're thinking to yourself, I like zombie stuff and I like survival, horror, thriller, zombie, whatever it is, if you like that thing, this movie is not going to do it for you, in my opinion. If this is what you're coming to, you're not going to enjoy it. When I sat in the theater and saw like this screening, I didn't think that people were enjoying themselves. I didn't feel like they watched it. But when I got up and to go, I didn't feel like people were very excited. I didn't feel excitement in the room. I think that this movie is going to be a major stinker, in my opinion. The critics can blow smoke.
Looking for this. I
mean, they can blow smoke up each other's ass all day, but this thing is a shitty thing. By the way, Professor, did you see something? There was something with D&D. Did you see that? That there was some guy answering Elon Musk, something with a creator. I thought that was interesting, but I'm not an expert in
Hmm.
D&D.
No, not something that I really know too much about either. Somebody was
Six says I'm
chatting
making a note
with.
to watch it on
Yeah,
streaming.
we do have a. I'm not sure if we have super chat or just super sticker out there. Maybe just super sticker.
Oh, we have a super sticker from Six, which is trees, but I'm gonna put it on screen with the greatest technology ever here on the Night Owl. Okay, I'm gonna share it right now. So Six sent us a 149 super sticker with 3 trees. I guess this is kind of a Merry Christmas type of situation. And
Sure.
Merry Christmas to you, Six.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, Six. Um, hmm. No, I hadn't seen this story about D&D. I'd have to see if I could find it. But yeah, I'm not much of a
Uh,
D&D player.
is Daisy hot when the army guy gets her to put the dress on and dance, asking for a friend? You know, I wouldn't count it. I wouldn't say it was a very hot scene. I mean, the thing is that she's cute, but it's not. She doesn't generate this kind of like major sexuality, anyways. And that scene is kind of creepy and weird. Plus, the dress is kind of like it's not a revealing type of dress. It's very much like if you ever see a movie about like the 1800s and you see some woman wearing like a dress that's like covering everything. It seemed like that kind of dress. It wasn't. I don't think it came off as like sexy or anything. Not in my opinion, at least. I in general didn't find her hot in this movie. I mean, even beyond that,
Yeah.
she's not she's not bad looking, but she's also I don't until today haven't really seen her like generate like real sensuality. She's just kind of like she's all right, but she's not. I don't know how to explain this, Professor. And at this late hour, whatever I say, it's probably going to have women posting a lot of weird things, getting upset at me. She played. No, it's not like the True Lies hot dance. No, it's not that. Plus, She played Ray. Ray means that it's not so good. I mean, the thing is with her, and I said this also in my review, is there is a part of me that feels bad for her, but I will forever associate, and I think a lot of people associate her with those movies. Like when I was watching this zombie thing, for the first 30 minutes, it very much felt like she was Ray. Because it's not like her acting range is so different that every role she completely brings a different energy. She seemed like Ray, but in a zombie movie. And me thinking of Ray is not a good thing. Now, I feel bad because it's not her fault personally. She didn't write The Force Awakens. She didn't write The Last Jedi. She didn't write Rise of Skywalker. She is certainly not the one to blame for everything that happened with Star Wars. She didn't do anything wrong. But the fact that you see her and all you think about is that shitty trilogy, it's really hard to separate when you see her. Maybe if she was, like, blonde and had, like, a completely different attitude, she's, like, flaky and weird, then you think, "Oh, it's, like, a completely different character," but she just looks and acts like Rey Skywalker, so hard to ignore that, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, it's hard to ignore. First of all, I don't know that I've seen her in anything uh aside from uh aside from the Star Wars films. I know there was the one that she made uh with Spider-Man. What's his name? Oh, where you could like see men's thoughts or whatever. I watched a couple clips of that, but it was so dumb. Gosh, I can't even. I don't think I've seen her in anything else. I don't think she's that impressive of an actress. What's to
No, I don't
draw
think.
me in?
Six says she's a pretty girl, and I'm sure she's very sweet. I don't have anything personal against her. I think that she is just okay. She's just an okay actress. She's not spectacular. She's cute, but she's not like over the top, like appealing. She's just kind of cute. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure there's roles that somebody like that could play. I think that murder mystery, Death on the Orient Express, or whatever it was, I think that was fine for her. Maybe that's the kind of stuff that she should be looking for. Something with an ensemble cast that's not really relying on her. There's a bunch of different characters. She plays one of them. Maybe a period piece, maybe something that asks her to be like a blonde to kind of make her look different. That's the kind of stuff that I think she should be looking for. I don't know how easy it is for her to lead movies at this point, unfortunately. Between like her acting, which is just all right, and her looks, which are cute, but not like, over the top, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if
Yeah.
I was sitting in a bar and she like came in and she wanted to hang out with me, I'm just like, whoever I am, that would be fine. But when you're leading a movie, a Hollywood production of a movie, you need more than that. It can't be the kind of woman that maybe I would talk to at a bar. It has to be something more serious. Could even be that I talked to her in a bar and she wouldn't even, want to give me the time of day. Still, if she's at the same bar I'm sitting, then she shouldn't be in this movie, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, even one that would think that I'm stupid at the bar, still I wouldn't put her in this movie. Like, in the movie, it has to be the kind of woman that's not even gonna walk into that bar, if you know what I'm trying to say. I don't know if I,
Well, as the real head case says, she's no Sydney Sweeney. That she is not.
gross. I would not want to see men's thoughts, the stupid things they say enough. I don't have any context. Is because I was saying, what was I saying?
No, I was talking about that movie that Daisy Ridley what was the name of that movie?
I don't know what you're talking about, Professor.
I was just saying, I don't really think I've seen much of anything else with her in it. Chaos Walking. That was the name. It was with Tom Holland. And in the film, like you can see like men's thoughts or something like that. It's weird. It's such a weird idea for a movie. And it was a huge flop. It was
Yeah, I mean, you can say that they didn't try a few different things with her, but she doesn't have any star power. Those movies did not leave her like in the best situation. I think that the sequel trilogy, people were like, oh, years ago, people were saying, oh, they didn't like the prequels either, but look at them today. But the thing is, no, I'm looking at it today. I think that the prequels, people accepted them more after seeing the sequel trilogy. Now that people don't hate them as much, but at the same time, they're still inferior to the original trilogy. And I think everybody realizes that, the majority of the people at least. And this thing, I don't think it's going to be like the prequels or the original trilogy or anything. It's already been 10 years since The Force Awakens. Who's appreciating The Force Awakens now? Nobody.
How could you? How could you appreciate that movie? I mean, it gets worse with every viewing. You know what? Karate Werewolf says, "Did you see The Cleaner?" I just realized, yes, I did see The Cleaner. So yes, I have seen another movie with Daisy Ridley.
I never ended up watching that.
Somebody shared that with me, and I watched it. It was hilariously terrible. It was absolutely awful film. I had blocked it from my mind. That's how bad it was. Just terrible.
Dude Rosef, I was thinking of Mel Gibson also. The only thing that really...
it's not it. This is like a sci-fi film that I was talking about called Chaos Walking. So Let me see. I pulled it up here. Uh, 2025 or 2257 AD on the colony planet New World, the male colonists are afflicted with the noise, a condition which causes everyone to see and hear each other's thoughts. And so you have this thing where they walk around and like when they think something, like there's like a thought bubble that like pops out of their head, and you can see it's so dumb. It's such a ridiculous idea. And then yeah, it stars Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland, but you've got some others in there like Mads Mikkelsen and Nick Jonas and so on. Yeah.
Some late guy, Long Island 90, nice to see you, says the prequels were bad, but had a wholesome charm to them. The new Star Wars don't have that. However, personally, the first one wasn't exactly horrible like the other two, in my honest opinion. The thing is that when The Force Awakens came out, people were forgiving, myself included, because I thought that they just needed to restart the thing, introduce it to a new audience, rehash some old ideas, and then I thought that, like, the episode that was The Last Jedi, I thought, okay, that one is going to be the good one. And I really had faith. And then I saw it and it was terrible. Although, to be fair, I will say, and I always say this, I had a bad feeling about Ryan Johnson. I had a bad feeling about Ryan Johnson for a few different reasons. Uh, I actually, uh, I've probably told you this before. I'm sorry, I must have mentioned this at some point. I'm not saying I tell this story every 5 seconds, but I must have said it before. Did I ever tell you about the time I saw Brick, Professor? Is the professor gone? He heard Ryan Johnson's Brick, and that was it. In any case, let's hope he can make it back or something happen or I don't know what. But I will tell you this. I'll tell you guys the story, and hopefully I haven't told it before. So basically, I had a friend who was a female, and she called me one day. This is I'm talking like 20 years ago. She called me one day, and she said, "I'm coming over. I have a really great movie that we're gonna watch." And I said, like, "Okay." She comes over, and she had a CD from Netflix, I believe. It's funny because at the time it was still with Netflix with the CDs in the mail. This is how old this is. I think it was around 2005 ish or whatever it was. Or I'm trying to think, was it 2005 or 2006? When did Brick come out? Yeah, 2005. Okay, it all makes sense. Perfect. So she had that envelope with the I bored the professor, Caleb Levine says. You're right, I did. In any case, the friend came over and she brought this Netflix envelope. She pulls it out and she has a, Brick. I didn't know anything. I had never heard of Ryan Johnson, never heard of Brick. I don't even know if I knew who directed it. I don't even know if I asked who the director was, but she was saying, "Oh, like I've heard a lot of great things about this movie." And she was very much the type of person that once there's like an artsy fartsy type of thing going on, or like these kind of critics that get excited about shit, she was exactly the person to go along with that. Nothing personal, but that's what she was. I'm trying to be nice. I want to be a good person, but that's whenever like the stupid narrative of bullshit, that's what she would go after. I don't want to throw her under the bus, but like whatever is shitty, that's what she would like. That probably didn't come out very well. In any case, she brought the thing, and Merry Christmas. Your break is over. Thanks for hanging out with us, Six. Thank you very much. I hope the professor is okay. I don't know what happened to him. Uh, Oh, he said there's a issue with his internet, so he's trying to work on that. In any case, I wasn't throwing her under the bus. I was trying to be a good person, I think. In any case, she puts on the CD, the DVD, whatever it is. We watch it, and she seems to kind of like it. I absolutely hated that movie. I hated Brick. I watched it, and I told her, I said, this is something that could have been like a 15-minute short film or sketch or some kind of SNL sketch. This is not a full feature film. Him doing like a film noir in a high school with these jerk offs is not cool. It's like whoever did this, I understand that you're subscribing to the farts that thinks that this fart is cool. They're all farts and this thing is shit. That's what I said. And after the movie was over, I think that she left. I wonder to myself if I ever saw her again afterwards, but let's have to think about that. In any case, I was not impressed with that stupid movie. I didn't know it was Ryan Johnson. I didn't even ask what the name was. Wasn't impressed. Thought it was a shitty movie. Uh, Years later, I heard that there was this movie Looper that I didn't see in the theater, and I heard good things. Again, they said it was the quote unquote thinking man's time travel movie. I said, "Well, I'm the thinking man." So I had a friend, an old friend that I've known for many years. We were at my place. We drank some beers, and we felt like watching a cool movie. We like sci-fi and time travel and whatever. I said, "Listen, I heard that this thing is like the thinking man's sci-fi movie, Looper," and we put it on, and I watched it. I think that maybe like 10 minutes into that movie, he just like, dozed off. I mean, I drank, I mean there were some beers there whatever, but I think that he like just checked out. It bored him, the Looper thing. I actually stayed until the end. I stayed until the end of the movie and I thought to myself, "You know what? This is kind of overrated." It wasn't the worst thing I'd ever seen, but I thought, "Man, this is a bit overrated. It's not like that great." I think that the main thing I can say about Looper that it has Bruce Willis when Bruce Willis was still Bruce Willis, Emily Blunt, who I always like seeing in a movie. So already that added some depth to the movie, even though the movie itself was kind of crappy. And even Joseph Gordon-Levitt was pretty decent in it. The same Joseph Gordon-Levitt that I once annoyed at a party. But I've told that before, probably at some point. In any case, I watched the movie. I thought it was very mid, and I didn't realize at that point that Brick and Looper was the same person making it. Brick I thought was very shitty. Looper I thought was very mediocre and forgettable, and that I couldn't give a shit about it. And the person that was like a guy that we grew up watching sci-fi and time travel and things like that dozed off after like 10 minutes into it. He thought it was shit. Like I was still thinking it's watchable. He thought worse of it. So that's what happened with Looper. So when they announced that Ryan Johnson was going to do the Last Jedi, I said, okay, well, I'm sure this guy is probably awesome. And you had a lot of people online like, yes, this is such a great decision. This is so great. Fuck yeah, Looper. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And then like I look at his filmography and I'm like, shit, I didn't really like Looper. And then I saw that he did Brick, and that's where like I really got worried. I said like, "Hey, he did Brick. Brick is a really really shitty movie." And I remembered that incident with the lady that came over with a CD that thought that I would love it because she heard some other fart say that it's good, and I said that those farts were farts and the movie was shit. And now this guy was doing The Last Jedi, and I'm like, "Uh-oh. Uh-oh." And that's after I went to see Rogue One, and Rogue One was like a mess of a movie. Aside from like the final act, which was kind of saving the movie with, the Battle of Scarif and Vader, something that I tweeted about this week, by the way, that I guess some people saw that tweet. In any case, um, I had a bad feeling, but I still hoped, I saw the trailer. When the trailer for The Last Jedi came out, I said, "Man, I really have to see this movie." You know, as much as I don't think much of JJ like of Ryan Johnson, I thought to myself, well, he'll understand the importance of what he's doing here. And whatever shitty things that he likes to do, he won't do them here because here he has to bring his A game. But I was wrong. That's where I understood that, like, my initial instinct of thinking that Ryan Johnson is a jerk off weasel was correct. Like, that was the right instinct. And it all goes back to Brick, which I knew was shit. It's, what bothers me that sometimes I'm just like so ahead of the curve. Like, I can see things like from so many miles away. I sound like a complete douche. That's because the professor isn't even here to like rein me in. Uh, Oh, here, the professor is back. I think he's back. I don't even know. He's probably like
Yeah.
horrified.
Yes, though my internet has gone squirrely on me. So,
Well,
uh,
we're glad to have you back. We do
yeah.
have some, I think, so Karate Werewolf has given us a $3, I think it's a Shibu Inu uh,
Yes.
thing, and
Sticker.
Dog is saying, "How's it
How's
going?
how's it
It's
going?
going great, Karate Werewolf. Thank you. Thank you for hanging out with us. Always love your screen name. I think Karate Werewolf is brilliant. I don't even know what I was doing while I was gone. I'm sorry people had to hear that story. But the story is true.
Talking
A
about
lady
shitting how Ryan Johnson shit a brick. Is that what I heard?
something like that.
Something like that.
No, but I think it's still funny that a woman came over to my apartment all excited, bringing, like, Ryan Johnson's
Check this
brick.
out. So good.
And I was tearing it apart. It's like when you sit with me and hear me, like, get annoyed at a movie. Imagine, like, I don't know what she was thinking when she brought the movie, but all she got was me, like, explaining to her why this is a piece of shit, and I think that she really was, like, annoyed. I really I think that I must have ruined her entire evening, and I have no regrets. Because at the end of the day, I have integrity. Whether it's a review that I post online or something that you and I talk about on a stream or some lady that shows up with the brick CD, I have to be honest. You know what I mean? Yes, I could have said, you know what, this is a decent movie and thought to myself, it's shit, but that wouldn't be honest. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't, I have integrity. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the bottom line here. Angelo DD says, I want to hear how you annoyed Joseph Gordon Levitt. I'll tell you how I annoyed it. I must have told this story before, not that I've told it a million times. I was at a party. Uh, I think that this had something to do. I can't believe I'm saying this. It had something to do maybe with Seth Rogen.
Ugh.
Seth Rogen had some movie, and I was at the premiere of the movie, and then there was like a cocktail party, and Joseph Gordon Levitt was there. So uh, he was standing next to me, and at the time, he had written and directed his own movie called, I think, Sean John or something. It was something like that.
It was Don John.
Don John or whatever
Yep.
it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don John.
So it was
I
called.
remember because my cousin is in the trailer.
That's good to know.
She's standing right next to ScarJo at the bar.
Oh, that's pretty cool, actually, Professor.
Yeah.
So, what happened is that I didn't see it in the theater, and one night I was looking to watch something. Maybe I had HBO, Netflix. I don't know, one of those things. It was already like, at a time where you could stream. It wasn't the envelopes anymore, and I would say that this probably happened maybe 10 years ago. This encounter. So what happened was I watched this Don John movie in the middle of the night because I just had nothing to watch and I wanted to watch something. And I thought to myself, this would probably suck because it's like I never heard of it. What is it? I didn't even know that Joseph Gordon Levitt like writes or directs and like everything about it. I thought to myself like this is going to be shit. And I pressed play and I found myself enjoying the movie. So when I was at the party and I see Joseph Gordon Levitt standing next to me, I said, "Hey, I saw that movie of yours. I saw Don John." And he said, "Yeah, well, what'd you think?" I said, I'm going to be honest with you. Initially, I was trying, and I told him what I told you guys. I said, I was trying to fall asleep. Like, I couldn't fall asleep. I wanted to watch something. I saw this thing. I didn't know what it was. I thought it would be shitty. And then I put it on, and man, it was pretty good. It was actually a pretty good movie. And he looked at me and he was so unhappy. Like, he was so fucking unhappy. And he kept, like, he kind of did some weird thing. I don't know what he said and kind of walked. I'm like, what does this fucking guy want? Like, he should be thankful I even watched this shitty movie. I mean, what,
I mean,
at least
what does he want? You said it was good. You
right.
said you enjoyed it. Just
right,
because
right.
if your first instinct was I didn't think it was going to be good, but I actually did like it. Like, I mean, that's a completely honest thing to say. Like, I wasn't sure about it, but you won me over. I mean, that's actually more of a compliment than just kissing his ass,
Right.
right?
I thought that he would be excited, but he seemed like he wasn't. You know, he's an actor. He did something like he's semi-smiling and walking, but he seemed unhappy. He genuinely seemed unhappy. And it's like, okay, whatever, man. Like, you know. I think I that's part of the reasons why I stopped getting invited to those type of events. I feel like at some point somebody said something to somebody and they're like, "Why does this person why is he why does he get invited to these events?" And then I think that was it. That was the end of the road for me. I don't know if it was this one. Like I can't tell you with certainty which encounter I had was the one that triggered this, but something must have happened.
Uh,
In hindsight, I also understand, like, you know, like I told you, sometimes they would talk about stuff like, even though it wasn't like the woke era yet, but it was really at the cusp of that. And they were saying all this weird stuff. And I always kind of I was more myself. And I thought that being yourself is great and everybody would love it. But I think sometimes in these circles,
Not
they didn't love me being myself.
Yeah, not in Hollywood, man. Either you've got enough power that everyone kisses your ass, or you don't, and you're the one who kisses all the ass. So
I did
it's
neither. I think that they just got annoyed that they're like, who is this person? Why is he here?
why is he not kissing someone's ass?
Never kissed any of those people's asses. I feel like, you know, I didn't kiss and you know what's funny that this week and I told you this recently. This is a story that I did tell you about Michael Shannon. He said something this week. He was like cursing Trump or I don't know what, is saying all this stuff. And he's saying it's like I don't know if he was saying he was a madman or what he was saying about him. And I told you that I was once at a I believe it had like a rooftop element to it. It was like in New York City. It was like a party, and I stood there, and next to me was Michael Shannon, and I looked at him and I said something like I actually watched Boardwalk Empire and I saw Man of Steel, and I thought he was a pretty good actor, and I don't know. I said, hey, like you know, I was kind of happy that he was there, and I said something. Hey, I wasn't even in my usual douchey self. I think that I was genuinely like nice and said something, and he looked like there was something wrong with him. Like, I don't know. I can't tell you with certainty what was wrong with him, but it looked like there was. I'll put it this way. I don't know what type of substance that could have been potentially, allegedly, that was you know happened there. But that man was not communicating. You know what I mean? So I said
Yeah.
something, and he looked like really like there was something wrong with him. And then suddenly, I told you, I think like a handler came, somebody came and kind of pulled him away. Like, oh, like Michael has to be blah blah blah. Like I don't know, they like pull him away. I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck is wrong with that guy? There's something so awkward and weird about him. Like not only when you see him on screen, but something about his whole there was something wrong with the guy. That's all I'll say. Maybe I caught him on that day and there was something wrong with him. I don't know. But that's why whatever he says now, I'm like, man, I saw you at that situation. There looked like there was something wrong with you.
uh, yeah.
And by the way, I think I've told you this before that like me in real life, I actually have a picture with Seth Rogen. I'm very embarrassed by it.
Yeah. It's unfortunate
It is
of
unfortunate.
all the people, you know, to have a
Yeah, I
photo
don't
with.
know. I don't know how I ended up like, you know, I regret that photo.
Yeah, it's surprising that you would even admit it, but you're just being yourself. You're being honest and open.
No, but you know what's nice? You know what? Well, you know why I'm happy? There's one thing that comforts me is that you know, in my kind of private life, there's photos that I shared. Or I used to have accounts. I don't even know if they exist anymore. Where like I'd share photos of myself and things like that. I knew well enough to never share that photo with Seth Rogen. The only person that has the Seth Rogen photo is me.
Well, there you go.
So it's
Yeah,
not out there anywhere, you know.
yeah. It's not going to be coming out in any of the Epstein files or anything like that.
No, I don't think so. It's not going to come out of there at all. Was there anything in gaming that I missed?
Uh, I mean, the probably one of the biggest things many people have been complaining about. I don't know if you saw anything about it, but so there's a game that won big at the Game Awards this year was Clear Obscure Expedition 33, turn-based RPG. It's an indie. It's a fairly large team, but it's an indie team. It wasn't made by a big AAA studio, but it won tons and tons of awards this year. And then at the Indie Game Awards, it was disqualified and taken out of multiple different categories because they used some AI in making the video game, some generative AI. Specifically, they had said, "Oh, we used some generative AI for a couple of different things." Of course, they admitted it. They were openly talking about, "Yeah, we used it." And so, of course, they said, "Oh, well, you're disqualified because you used AI in your games." And it turns out there were basically two places. One, they used it in some of the early prototyping stuff, and nothing that they actually made from there ended up in the game. It was all just early prototyping stuff that they use, like placeholders and stuff that they put in there. And then there was another thing where they had some newspapers that were like posted up on walls and stuff like that, like a an image, like if someone plastered on a board or something like that. And some of these were created with the aid of generative AI because they didn't want to type out thousands of words of nonsense. And so these were in the game at one point, and then were replaced and taken out of the game. But anyway, they didn't actually like create the game or anything with AI, And the truth is that if any of the other people who are making these other indie games are saying we use no AI in the creation of their games, they're lying through their damn teeth. Okay? Every one of them used some AI to do stuff. They used it to help them code. They used it to help them generate ideas. They used it to help them edit text and make sure their grammar and everything was correct. So Claire Obscura is being punished for one thing. That is being honest about having used a little AI in their project. So it's ridiculous. Nonstop people have been out there talking about how absurd it is that they were canceling this game, trying to kick it out of the Indie Game Awards because they used some AI for some placeholders and some completely unobtrusive graphics in the background with these like newspapers that were pasted up on walls. It's so dumb. It is ridiculous. Yeah. Oh no. There's some newspapers posted on a lamppost that were used generative AI. So, like, it's so dumb. But yeah, they did this, and then in the Indie Game Awards, they had another company that they pulled their game. I cannot remember the name of that game, but they disqualified it too. And the reason was because they work with a partner, Mod Retro, to release their game physically, like on a physical cartridge. And that company was founded by Palmer Luckey, who is problematic because he's been a Trump supporter. And so they disqualified their game because they worked with Mod Retro, and the guy who runs Mod Retro is a Trump supporter.
I see.
So the indie game, these Indie Game Awards have lost all credibility. Right? It's ridiculous. And of course it's hilarious too, because you go see the Indie Game Awards and the guys that are like in charge of it are like these bloated cows. It's hilarious. Here, I can share just one tweet real quick here. You can see here it's Oh, you'll have to close yours, or yeah, there we go. Yeah. So here's one from Grums. They've gone cancel crazy. First Expedition 33. Now they've revoked another award because the game is partnered with Mod Retro. Mod Retro is founded by Palmer Luckey. Yep. So this is the announcement they made. The game was Shantae or Shanti, Chanty. I don't know. I haven't actually played that game. But essentially, it's virtue signaling. They canceled this game. They kicked it out of the Indie Game Awards because they had cartridges that were being made by Mod Retro, and they don't like the people who run Mod Retro. AI, and this is the people running the Indie Game Awards. Jeez, come on.
It's
Yeah,
just so weird. I hate all this stuff. If somebody does something good, you give them an award. If they didn't do something good, don't give them an award.
yeah. It's so stupid too because are they actually going to hurt by taking this award away, or are they going to hurt uh Claire Obscure? No, it's still the best game of the year. It's sold millions of copies. It's incredibly popular. Nobody cares. It's just blatant. It's open, just trying to cancel somebody because they don't like them or whatever, or So they ended up giving the game the award to Blueprints, which I've played it. It's a fascinating and interesting game, but man, game of the year, really? Like it's not going to be like any number of other indie game. I don't know. It's not a bad game. It just seems like it's odd that that's going to be the next winner.
I
Uh,
mean, I do have to wonder why Karen Carpenter was trending. I saw her
uh,
name.
oh,
In a second ago, I thought I
who
saw her.
knows?
Anyhow,
Who knows? But
who
yeah,
knows? Yeah.
yeah, that's really the only thing I've really seen a lot of in gaming news over the last few days. Just ridiculousness. Again, if the other nominees are saying they never used AI at all in anything that they did in their project, they're just lying because everyone who's doing coding now, they're using AI to help them code. They're using AI to help them edit text and fix grammar and all sorts of stuff. It's absurd to say, oh, our game is 100% AI free. No, you don't have to make everything AI free. That's dumb. In fact, I've even taught this to students because the ridiculousness is, yeah, AI's here and you're not going to put it back in the bottle. You're not going to get rid of it, but we have to be able to use it responsibly. There need to be things that we can do with it that, yes, help us to be more productive, but at the same time, we're not giving up the ability to think for ourselves. We're not giving up our critical thinking skills. So yeah, to use it for something like editing our for grammar and stuff like that. Sure. Yeah. Go for it. To use it to help us with generating ideas, creating prototypes, all of that stuff. Yeah. Do that. That's what it's for. Don't, don't just take what it gives you and turn that in, right? As in, for your assignment, that's not going to get you the right grade. I was talking to a professor last week who was talking to his class, and he went to them and he said, "Oh, tell me about I can't remember what it was, self-determination theory or something like that." And he said, "Well, you or how about you, or what about you?" And he said, one of the students said, "I don't think you've taught anything about that." And so he said, "Well, that's really amusing because at least 18 of you mentioned self-determination theory in the paper that you turned in last week. Wonder why that is." Yeah, it's because they were all just getting their answers from ChatGPT or something, right?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And so, but yeah, I mean, there's responsible ways to use AI, and that's fine. Use those when you're producing your game. Use those to help you.
No, I mean, I'll tell you what. Sometimes
But
what'll happen is I have a script that's too long, or I'm babbling too much. I could ask AI, like, can you remove the parts that I'm repeating myself, or something like that. I've done stuff like that. I don't want like I don't want the AI to write stuff because I don't
exactly.
think that I think that the problem with AI is if I look at something that it writes, it doesn't sound like me, and it's not what I would say. So that's why I any channel that just had some chat GPT and they have like some robot narrator narrate it, it usually really irritates me. And even
Oh,
when
and
I
it's
look on
obvious, and
Twitter,
it's obvious too. Yeah,
right?
and when you do see the writing that is done by a Chat GPT or any of these things, you'll always notice that it always deviates towards the mean. It deviates towards being mediocre and dull. It doesn't have any personality. It doesn't. It does.
No, it has a phony. It tries to have a personality, but it's like phony baloney.
Yeah.
And And it really annoys me when I'm like on X and somebody posts something and then you see like the phony AI responses, and I feel like each one of them to answer like "fuck you and your AI shit." You know what I mean? Like, sorry, Sean, I want to answer like every one of them, but there's millions of them. It's such a it's become such an AI slop place, that whole, the way people respond. There's something about the way the AI sounds that like irritates me because I know how artificial and shitty it is, and it annoys me. It's
Yep.
like no human wrote that, you know what I mean? Like, there's no
Mhm.
human being that wrote that shit. Like, there are cases that you can 100% tell that somebody just did an AI answer.
Indeed. You're right. Yep.
By the
Uh,
way, before we head out, I did want to show that thing that I had posted. Did
yeah,
you
and we
see?
do and we do have another super chat.
Oh, another super chat. Okay. Uh,
I also saw the last episode. We won't get a chance to talk about it for a while. I did see the last episode of Pluribus.
I haven't seen it. Was it
Yeah.
good?
It was all right. It really, I think, moved the story forward a lot and set up the stakes for what they would do with a second season. And the stakes, there's a ticking clock that really gets set up for you, and we learn a little bit more about exactly what this is that how Manusos actually wants to save the world. So uh, it's it's an interesting episode. I think there's a lot more that happens in this than we've seen in a lot of other episodes, and it does set up an interesting place to start off for a second season. Yeah.
Elizabeth Quinn says, while I use Eve, who we renamed Iris, from companion every day, I argue with her at least every other day. Makes me feel like I'm living my Star Trek dream. Okay. um, the real headcase says, tell us about your music stuff, studio projects. I don't really know what to say. Uh, I don't do too much music these days. Like, when I was younger, when I was still, I think in my 20s, throughout my 20s, up till even like 30 or early 30s or something like that, I would still, there were moments that I went into a studio and recorded more professionally. I work with some bands. I would perform at clubs and stuff. Nothing like major, like in front of 100 people or things like that. Uh, these kind of like, smaller bars or whatever it is that have like 100 people. That's kind of stuff, that I perform. Never really got to a place where I'm some like big shot performs in front of a lot of people. Had no record deal or anything like that. The only thing that I would say is that over the past year, there was a very, very, very small indie movie, and I uh, was one of the people that wrote the music to that movie, or the theme song to that movie. I wrote. I was one of the writers of. But again, I don't think anybody's ever seen this movie. I don't think anybody ever will see this movie. But it was still nice. It was still nice that, such a thing exists. If anybody were to ever watch it, my name appears in the credits. Just nice, I guess. And that's the most like hottest thing I can say, like that's like relevant in studio projects or whatever it is. It would have been nice if it was a movie that maybe people actually saw. That would have been nice.
Well,
What
of
can I do?
course. Yeah.
I did want to share this thing that I posted on. That'll be a good way to end our stream. So Mads Mikkelsen basically said that they filmed Rogue One without an actual screenplay, which totally makes sense because I've always said that there was something wrong with this movie. We know
Mhm.
that Tony Gilroy was brought in and they pushed Gareth Edwards aside because the whole production was a shit show. We knew this, but To suggest that there was filming with no screenplay, this is the first time that somebody has like flat out admitted it. So let's listen to what he says.
The film
Interesting.
ended up being a quite cute and sweet film. I enjoyed watching it. Yeah, for a Star Wars film, it was surprisingly unfinished in the script. It kept changing. And one would think that that was already done. I don't think they ever locked a draft. I think they kept working on it and improvised and went back and reshot stuff and then came up with a better idea, which is kind of livable for a character like mine. I mean, I had my mission, I knew what it was, but it was obviously tricky for the two young heroes, not knowing exactly what they were carrying into a room of baggage. But I think, as I said, I think it turned out to be a really nice film. The film ended up being quite cute.
So a lot of people, when I posted this and they had like, their comments, I had some wise asses like, you don't even understand what he's saying. Like, it's fine. Like, it doesn't mean there was no plan. It doesn't mean there was no plan. It's like, it's literally, you have to understand. This is a guy that's not trying to alienate himself and make it so that people won't hire him anymore. He's choosing his words carefully. But if you understand what he's saying, really, if you really look between the lines, I think it's very clear. What he's saying here is this: he was the villain. So a script that changes all the time, or not the villain. He was the father of Urso or whatever it is. I guess like his role in this was very defined and something that, regardless of what they kept changing in the script, it didn't influence how he would portray the character. But he was saying that the two younger actors, which he was referring to Felicity Jones and what's his face, and Diego Luna. I mean, are they young? I guess they're younger than him. But he's like, those two guys, they had less of an idea of what they were even doing there. And I don't think this is being said in some positive way. I think that this is very much saying that they couldn't give the best performance because they didn't know who their characters were, because the script kept changing and they hadn't even locked the script when they were filming. So all the people in my comments that were trying to like bullshit their way out of it, like, no, you don't even understand what he's saying. I do understand what he's saying. They didn't have a script and they filmed a movie that cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make. And the result is that it was probably unwatchable, which is why they had to bring Tony Gilroy, pay him a ton of money at the end. He came, cleaned it up, did some reshoots, reshot the third act, threw in Vader, all that stuff just to save the movie. And at the end, the movie comes out mediocre. The third act is kind of decent.
Yeah.
I didn't hate the Battle of Scarif, I'll tell you the truth. It's nice to look at. Out of all the shit that Disney Star Wars has made, it's one of the better things. Up until the Battle of Scarif in this movie, there are real issues with the movie. And I remember sitting in the theater and watching it, and I remember thinking to myself, man, this is rough. I was really concerned that this was a Star Wars movie because of how bad it was. It's just as we were getting towards the third act, it started improving a bit. And then in the third act, it really like improved significantly. So I said, well, maybe I have to watch it again. Maybe the characters, maybe this, maybe that. But really, the third act and Vader is what saves this movie. Otherwise, this movie is a
Yeah.
flat out catastrophe. And Mads Mikkelsen knows that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. The last bit, the Battle Scarif and everything there, I really do enjoy that. And it really starts to feel much more like a Star Wars film. But yeah, I mean it's not the worst thing that Disney's made, but it definitely has some downsides to it. But yeah, I have no doubt that there were some issues with the screenplay and that they were changing things on them regularly. That happens on productions where they these could have been happening for a number of reasons, right? We know that KK meddles and stuff nonstop. Maybe she was forcing changes. Maybe it was Gareth Edwards. Maybe he wasn't sure about what was going on and wanted to keep changing things up a bit. Who knows?
Listen, I personally think that if the movie that films without a screenplay, Kathleen Kennedy is to blame. That should never happen under her watch. And the fact that it was that way, it feels like maybe after that Force Awakens, they rushed this thing. They really, or at the same time they were already doing it and they kept rushing it and they wanted to make it for December and I don't know what. I feel like the movie probably didn't have the right planning. Gareth Edwards, I'll tell you what I think. I think the guy has a really good visual eye. I think he has some pretty good ideas, but I also don't think he's the best filmmaker. Certainly not the best writer. He almost has something of a Zack Snyder problem that
Yeah, yeah,
it's another one of those guys that has some talent, but somebody told them that they had more talent than they really did. Meaning, it's perfectly fine to be a director that can execute a job and get the job done. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know who decided that all these people have to be auteurs, that they have to write and direct and like they're the best at everything. Like, no, sometimes you just got to stay in your lane. You're a director, take a script that's good, direct it, and don't fuck around,
yep.
So that's my thoughts about this. And I think that now is a good time to see if people sent us do you have, I don't know if your thing is working today.
No, yeah. There's a list
Oh,
there
okay.
from Rumble.
So on Rumble we have Citizen 42, Elizabeth Quince, Darren Mai, Double R Star, Angelo DD, Dude Bro Seth 420, Istaphobos, Sal the Hamster, who got everything right with the hand that rocks the cradle. Some late guy, Long Island 90, pure blood based berserker.
Yeah.
Jason Webster says Rogue One should have been better. It is okay, however, it is largely missed opportunity with the Vader scene towards the end being the only scene with any sort of impact. Even that, if you think about it, if you really, really think about it, the way Vader appears in A New Hope is very different than what we see in those final minutes of Rogue One. Meaning, if he could throw all those people around that way, it kind of is weird that then the next second he's not doing any of that.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit much. Of course, when I watched it, it did the member berry, it did whatever, it was Vader and blah, blah, blah. But between you and me, if I really am honest with myself, then it's not the best connection with A New Hope because after he like kills like a million people the way he does, and then he just shows up there and he's a lot more relaxed
Yep.
and like doesn't do that stuff. It kind of seems like there's a discrepancy. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. There's a mismatch there.
It's not the end of the world. Let's put it this way. If everything was good with Disney and like they did everything great and all their movies were great and we had this thing, it would be a fun little thing that you and I would be discussing now and having a chuckle while discussing. But the problem is that everything is a problem, so I can't let this slide either, if you know what I mean. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, do you want to do the YouTube ones?
Yeah,
Do you
over
have
on
the list?
YouTube, we had The Real Head Case, The Dead Man, Karate Werewolf, Tomahawk 511. Six was out there this evening. Good to see you, Six. Phantom Outsider, Darren M. Caleb Levine, Jason Webster, Zunar J5, John Durham, 6172, Scott C8B3N, Tex Rogers, Call Me TXT, Marla Sharondoff, E. Clay Thompson, Istaphobos, Robot Head, Merry Christmas, Robot Head, Corbin Griner, Badfoot, Diamond G, Arturo Alejandro Trevino, Jonathan Conroy, Massgrave, Obi Dean, Irwin's Sentient Potato, World of Swap Shop, Crow Hollow, Darth Scipio, Call Me Jeff, Not Jeffrey, Valiant Goat, and B-Man Z. Those are the ones that joined us in the chat, but of course, I'm sure there's many of you hanging out, listening either after the fact or maybe just lurking, and we're glad to have you all here too. Don't forget to give us a like, and if you're not already, please follow the stream.
Quickly, I just wanted to go over just this comment or two. Caleb Levine says, I feel Rogue One was the only decent Star Wars movie from recent times, but that's not saying much. Yeah, I guess. Phantom Outsider 6488. Well, in my headcanon, it was Vader versus non-Force users unstoppable versus a Force user of equal level without current CGI. The Age of Sir Alec Guinness, that's what you get. It's fine, but, it is what it is. There was one final thing I wanted to say that I happened to see... I hope it's okay that I'm saying this. I happened to see Rebecca Gold, which is something that Ian, the Mega Geek, made. I actually got a chance to watch it. I don't know if you've watched it yet, Professor.
I have indeed. I was a a backer on the project, and
Ah,
yeah, so I
well, that's even better.
got a copy
I
of
feel
that
like a
shortly after Christmas, actually, or not
I
after
feel
Christmas,
like a
shortly after
weasel.
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
I was not a backer, but I got a chance to watch it, and I want to say that it is obviously, first of all, obviously this is a to say that it's a low budget production is an understatement. This is the lowest of the lowest budget production, and it is a continuation of a web series that, you know, uh, makes it so you have to view the other thing to really know what's going on here to an extent. But I will say this. I think that with the budget that Ian had to work with Ian the Mega Geek, what he had to work with, I think he did a fantastic job because the thing itself looks like you know, I think I've seen stuff that the BBC makes
Oh
that
yeah.
didn't fall short on the quality and level of what I see here. Obviously, this is always and he had to work like there's things like there's supposed to be an actor in a scene, but the actor because a lot of people are volunteering, that actor is out doing something else that day or has another job. He has to think of creative solutions around it. It is a movie that really requires a creative guy that's working on the fly to try to make it work. And overall, I think that with the understanding of the kind of budget he had, the tools he had to work with, the challenges he had to work with, and the fact that it's just him willing this production into existence mainly, I was very impressed with what he did. And I think that if nothing else, it's a business card that shows that how the guy with very, very little can really make something that looks, like uh, a legitimate production. And I
Absolutely.
dare say, I wonder what he would do if you gave him, $1 million and like a chance to put together something like a more elaborate production. I think he'd do a good job. So I was impressed with what I saw.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to take into consideration that this is smaller type of production and everything that I mentioned. But especially under those circumstances, what he put together really impressed me. I think that it was a lot of like smart shooting and even some of these actors I liked. I liked the girl that played the main girl. Like I thought that there were interesting things here, and it makes me happy seeing somebody that has a dream and just against all odds he puts together his project. So I
Absolutely.
was
Yeah.
very, very impressed, personally. That's my opinion. Mark D with a C. Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas. And
Yep.
yeah, just wanted to mention that. I hope it's okay that I even talked about it.
No, no. Yeah, I think shortly it will be available for public viewing. So, yeah.
Well, I think that the public would enjoy something like that, and it's
Yeah.
nice that somebody in our circles decides that he wants to make something. And again, mind you, he had very little to work with. Like, it is very difficult to make a 2 hour, close to 2 hour movie. I think it's an hour and 45 minutes. Make like a full feature film for practically nothing. Like in terms of production of what he had to work with, it's practically nothing. So yeah, that's what I have
It's
to say.
Mark says he scored a Chewy at Home Depot for half price.
I see.
That's have you seen those price?
I
This
haven't.
this is a 7 foot tall animatronic Chewy that it's a Christmas decoration, but it roars and moves around.
Sounds pretty cool to me.
There's an R2D2 that's available, but it's been sold out everywhere.
Ah,
It's been basically impossible to find. You basically have to know someone at the store who will put it back for you and sell it to you.
funny how Supreme Leader Snoke and Rey don't sell so many.
Oh no, yeah, they had a Darth Vader and they had a Chewie and they had a Stormtrooper and they had R2. So yeah,
I see.
the Chewie is hilarious though. It's 7 foot walking carpet. It's pretty funny. All right, well, I think that's it for us tonight. Price, you got anything
I think
else?
so too. No, I think
All
I
right,
think we went over everything and then some, and it was a really great stream. I
yeah,
actually didn't know if anybody would show up, but I think it
yeah,
was a nice nice group. E. Clay Thomason, who now we don't see his name anymore, but I know it's his
yep,
name. So yeah,
yep.
you all have You all have a great holiday, a great
Yes.
Christmas, and New Year, and all that stuff. And I'm going to be here
Absolutely.
on Thursday. The professor is going to be traveling,
Yep,
but
I'm gonna be out for the next couple of weeks or so because we'll have the Christmas holiday, and then my family is going on vacation, so we're gonna be out the following week. So Price will be here though, and you
I
can
will
come hang
be
out with
here.
him, and I'm sure he'll find some friends to come and hang out with
We
him.
will do something.
And if
Something will.
I can, I might hop into the chat and say
That
hi.
would be wonderful.
Yeah.
And you have a great vacation with your family
Yeah, appreciate
and
it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Gonna be a lot of
holiday
fun.
vacation. And yeah, we'll find some way to make it work. And we're gonna hang out. So this Thursday is still gonna be a stream, and I'll see you all there. And that's it. You
All
all
right.
have a good night and a great Christmas and holiday
Yeah.
and all that
Have a
stuff.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Take care.
Bye.